Thank God for this software. Sound check, sound check. Hello, everybody. Sound check, sound check. Happy Thursday night. I'm still trying to figure out what day of the week it is. Yeah. Hello, everybody. Hello, hello. Sound check. Sound check, sound check. Hey, Davino. Hey, Cindy Abbott. Hey, AF. Hello, hello, hello. Good to see you. Good to see you. I see you, Davino. Hey, Deb. Shout out to Deb to the road. It's Thursday night, y'all. We got to get it tonight. I can't take it easy on you tonight either. We got to clear the air. I hope everybody's having an awesome week. I tell you, God is good. We had so much rain here. Rain, rain, rain. And the grass was brown, trying to turn brown. And then all of a sudden, we had all this beautiful rain. I was so happy to see it. Hey, Carrie. Hello, hello, hello. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm so happy to see you. All right, it's 8:45. We're going to give about 2 minutes to let a couple more people come in, and then we're going to get started right away. So glad to see everybody. Send you some love. Yeah, y'all have rain too, huh, Davino? All right. Rain is good. Well, I don't like thunderstorms, thunder and lightning, but I like when it rains. I love when it rains. Good to see you. Good to see you. We're going to have an awesome live tonight. I got some great points for you, some strong points. Hopefully, you had a chance to look at the video today discussing whether Diem and Bethany We're in the house that night. We're going to talk about a lot of different topics. I'm going to give you my opinion of the Linda Lane theory. We're going to talk about Mr. G and Howard Bloom's beef. Who would have thought Mr. G and Bloom would be beefing? I've heard it all. Just when you think you heard it all, I tell you what. All right. Unspoken heart stillness. Happy Thursday night, ma'am. Good to see you. Good to see you. Happy Thursday night. Hope everybody got some rest this week. I mean, it's been boy, I tell you, it's been a weird one. All right, we've got I think like 8 or 9 people in here right now. I'm gonna go ahead and get started. I'm so glad to see everybody on the agenda tonight. Let's see, we have, let me grab my notes. We have to talk about the texting between DM and BF. We have Linda Lane. We have Mr. G and Bloom. And also there was one other thing. I don't have it down here. I have to find the card. But this is our topic list for tonight. And you all can also, I'll put a link in if anybody wants to come on stage. And I hope you guys aren't chicken, bark, bark, bark. No, we don't want any chickens in here now. We want you to come on the stage and give your opinion. We're going to take a few polls. Thank you very much, Unspoken. God bless you. Thank you so much for the kind words. Thank you so much. Cindy says she had a dream that Bryan Kohberger was exonerated. Boy, isn't that something? You never know. You never know. You never know. All right, I'm going to, I don't think I have any announcements. I usually don't post videos on Friday because there's so many people posting on Friday, and I don't like to jump in and compete with that. You know, I have my 2 days of lives, everything like that. So I don't really, all right, I see Davino is trying to come in. Davino, it says device is not connected. So cancel it and try to come back in, because that happened to Alistair the other night. Try to go out and come back in. Yeah. All right, I'm going to load my screen so that we can start our discussion and have something to talk about. How about that? And I'll start with this article in Fox News because it's so much more accessible to me than the court documents and whatnot. But let's see. Okay, it still says device is not connected. For some reason, Davino, I'm not sure. I'm not sure what the issue is. Okay, I think you'll get in if you try. Keep trying. As soon as it says connected, I'll press you on the stage. How about that? I don't know. Maybe your distance away or whatever. I don't know, because Alistair's in Scotland, and so it happened to him too. I wish he was in here. I could tell you. He could tell you what to do, or maybe he will pop in. All right. This article is from Fox News, and it says Bryan Kohberger trial survivors of Idaho massacre will await texting during rampage. Report. Explosive report says prosecutors have secret informant who would tighten the screws against Kohlberger. And I mean, the fact that it's a secret informant right there makes me suspicious. Okay, that's first and foremost. But I think this is fairy tale land. Just some more, like I said, they're just really just trying to convince us that they had witnesses, because I think they realized at this point we're not buying everything they put out on the shelf, and so they need witnesses. You cannot. It's hard to win a murder trial without witnesses, and so, and the murder weapon. I mean, they don't have the murder weapon. They can't place Kohlberger in the house without the DNA, which they're not using. So they need witnesses. And so I just want to hold on a second. I just want to go through this and give a few quick points, because it's really getting out of hand. Some of these theories is just really so far out in space or down the rabbit hole until we can't really take it seriously anymore. I hope they don't just want to turn it into a clown show. But this is Fox News here. These are major media outlets. I'm not sure if y'all what they're showing on the major news. I mean, in other countries, but in the United States, Fox News is one of the biggest news outlets we have, up there with CNN, MSN, and for them to be reporting this stuff as news, it's just really bewildering to me. Now, this article is confusing because maybe y'all can help me. Davino, I hope you keep trying to come in. I'm not sure. I wish there was something I could do. But what I'm saying is, it's hard to see if Mr. G is saying it's not true. They're saying that the jurors are the ones, that Mr. G is the one that got the story from the jurors, and Mr. G is saying it's not true. So, I mean, I believe it's not true that the jurors told him anything for several reasons. But for Bloom to be, involving himself on that angle, he's totally in left field. He's left his home base, and he is totally out of place in this. All right, let's see. It says I want to read the part about the phone call. Two surviving housemates in an off-campus rental home were awake and texting each other during a massacre that left 4 of their friends dead last November, according to a new report. First of all, okay, you're telling us that while God only knows how many people were in the house committing these crimes, they had no problem with Dylan and Bethany being in their rooms on the phone, not calling the police, but texting each other. I mean, this is just ignorant. I really am disappointed, but at the same time, I'm not surprised, because any assassin that I know that's going to take care of business, they're going to try to keep it simple and quick. Whatever they came to do, they want to do it and get out. And also, the first thing they probably did when they got in there was check every room. Okay, that's one way Murphy got in Kaylee's room. They squared everything away. And that's another reason I think that there's a military theme in this ongoing, not just the chief, but the way it was done quickly with no real evidence. I mean, this is tactical, the way that these people went in and did this. The first thing they would do is check all the rooms. And so these girls are in their rooms chilling on the phone while 4 people are being mutilated. And I guess it's just quiet in there. They're just slowly being attacked, and they're not screaming or begging for their lives or telling them to get out or leave their roommate alone. None of that's going on. It's, it's just some tussling, or they're just fighting in quiet. Nobody's shouting any orders. It's just quiet, I guess. To tell us that these girls were in their rooms texting each other is ridiculous. Now, I'm going to tell you something. Even though it's ridiculous, if we go back to the PCA, it said that they're basing a lot of what is in the PCA on Dylan and Bethany's cell phones. Remember that? I would pull it up, but I think we all know. So I'm just saying. All right. Hey, Kimberly Ann, welcome. That's our newest member. Kimberly, please make her feel welcome. And welcome everybody. And also be sure to hit the like button. Be sure to share the live afterwards. All right. Now, we know that these things don't happen in real life. These people were trained to do this. And when they went in, the first thing they did was check every room. Even, I don't think with all the cars in the driveway, you mean to tell me they went in there and they could have been being filmed and nobody checked Dylan and Bethany's rooms, and Dylan's room especially. And then she's opening and closing her door through all of this. How is she frozen in shock phase, texting Bethany and asleep, all these things within this 3 to 4, 420 period? It's just garbage. And so I know everybody has different opinions. That's what makes the world go around. But we need to stick to the facts. And I don't believe the fact that they're trying to make me believe that Dylan and Bethany were at home is why I don't believe Dylan and Bethany were at home, because they're telling me that they are. Now, if they were insisting they weren't there, I would suspect that they were there. That's just my logic based on what I've been seeing and saying, All right. Shout out to Leslie Vasquez, my sidekick there. All right. You drive safe, Les, and thank you so much for logging on. Much love to you. I give everybody some love right now. All right. Let's see who we got here. Shout out to Lucas Boyd. Hello and God bless. Hi, Lucas. Good to see you. Welcome to HT Thursday Night Live. All right. It says the 4 a.m. invasion attack killed Kaylee Goncalves, Madison Morgan, Xana Kanoto, and Ethan Chapin on November 13th. Now, it says the revelation from a lengthy airmail story is attributed to grand jurors on the case who allegedly leaked the information to Goncalves' father, although the reporter concedes that neither Goncalves nor his attorney agreed to comment. Now, there's likely some truth to this, that Mr. G was putting that out there. I don't believe that they were in there texting, but I believe that Mr. G put that out there to somebody. Even though they don't want to comment, I do believe that, because of the simple fact that he has been talking. He has been talking, and they're saying no comment. Just say just he's saying it was lies. What part of it is lies? All of it? Because it's a rumor that somebody's putting out there with your name on it, and some of what Howard Bloom says sometimes is true. So this is where I get off the train as far as saying what it is. All right, let's see. Can't escape that look Steve G gave to Jack at the memorial. Yes, we're going to get to that, because he gave him the stink eye for real. And, to me, Jack looked amused. Is it me? I mean, he was hugging Kaylee's mom, but even though Mr. G was looking at him like that, it's like he was taking it as a joke. That's how his face looked to me. I don't know. I don't know. That's just bad vibe, period, that I got from him on the memorial. Very, very bad vibe. Now, if Diem and Bethany were not in the house, you know that blows this case up. It blows this case up because, for the most part, it destroys Dylan's statement. It means that Bethany and Dylan don't have a clue as to the timeline. They may have an idea, but they really don't even know when the crimes actually occurred. They don't. Now listen, how could you say that they were texting but nobody called the police? Remember, Dylan said she was in frozen shock phase at one point. So if it was like that and she had her phone to text Bethany, you know, why didn't either one of them call the police? It's just not, it's not possible to me. I can't see it. I can't see it. And the best thing that I can say is that they're trying to establish witnesses because, in my opinion, they don't have enough to convict Bryan Kohberger without witnesses. People keep saying DNA. They said they're not using that. What do we have left? Phone pings and car surveillance. And the car surveillance is different cars. If you look at the different camera shots, those aren't even the same cars. And they don't have a license plate capture. They didn't capture the license plate. And so I just don't see it. I don't see how that's evidence. How can a white car on surveillance at night that might even be silver or a light gray car in the daytime, how could this, and you don't have the license plate, how can this be evidence? Now, I want to switch over to Linda Lane, which is AL's favorite theory. I don't know why. And I want to give you some points about that. All right. What did Carrie say? Right. And when he was sitting with his son and daughter in an interview, she defended Jack. His son mentioned he didn't feel that way, and Steve looked mad. That's right. Davino, I don't know why you having this problem. Man, I'm about to pray about it. I just wish you could get in. Boy, wait, hold on. At the stage, I think you got in.
How you doing? Hey, hey, it's Davino Di Strada. How you doing?
Oh, hey, Davino. You sound like
What's
Tony
going on,
Soprano.
girl? How you doing? Huh?
You sound like Tony Soprano.
I'm originally from Brooklyn, New York.
Okay, there it is.
Buonasera, quel che sì, come va? All right.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness.
Come da sta Giuginad.
Oh, you
What's
got.
going on? How you doing? Hey, I really enjoy your podcast. It's great.
Thank you so much. Okay.
Lavoto means good job. Yeah, very, very cool. Very cool.
Davino, you put a pin in that. Stay right there.
Cool.
Stay right there. And I want to give a shout out to AF for a $50 super chat sticker. My guardian angel. And as he says, top detective. You have to fight with some people here about that, AF.
Yeah, I'll send you some money over the weekend.
All right. I sure appreciate it.
Just send me yeah. That's fine. No worries. Just send me put a link in the chat or something, and I'll just send it to you.
I will, and thank you so much.
Oh, my pleasure.
All right, thank you, and thank you, AF, for yeah, that's so good. I feel great. I hope you guys feel great, and we're gonna talk about Linda Lane next. All right, Davino, what you got to say about the grand jurors saying that Dylan and Bethany are in the house?
I'm sorry. What was the question?
How do you feel about this rumor that DM and Bethany were texting each other in the house?
Oh, I believe that. Okay, this could go either way, I'll tell you, because personally, I don't even know if they were even in the house when this took place, meaning that Dylan's boyfriend had a black truck. And and I know he was a well-known, you know what type of dealer.
Right.
I believe that they knew this was going down. And I believe that they got the hell out of there before this even took place. I do believe that whatchamacallit, Kay was lured back to the house. But I do believe that after that happened, that they somehow took off because they knew it was going to get really ugly.
Okay. Now you said somebody was brought back to the house.
Well, I believe that Dylan brought Kaylee back to the house. Remember, she was visiting. She wanted to show off her Range Rover, which still blows my mind because I don't understand something. I never heard of an internship, number one, you're being paid for. Number two, I never heard of anybody buying a pretty brand new vehicle and then want to take a backpack trip to Europe and then start a job in Texas. I mean, none of that even makes sense.
Right.
Usually you want to save as much money as you can before you even start a job because this generation, everything is so expensive.
Right.
But as far as them texting during the unalives,
right,
it's a possibility, but I think that this whole story was conjured up by DM about seeing this person in black, the bushy eyebrows. Look, if I'm coming at you, look, first of all, I said this before in a text. If this is my house and I'm renting this house, I be damned, I will do everything I have to do to the defendant. You're not going to come in my house and start just going ballistic, okay? I mean, I just don't understand that. I'm not going to lock myself in the room and then decide to call 911 12 hours or 8 hours, 12 hours later on. It doesn't make any sense. I don't care what state of mind. I talked to my military friends, and they said, you may freeze in that moment. It'll only be a couple of seconds, and that's it. It's not going to take all night to get through that. That is just nonsense. And this is even talking, even tours over there in Iraq. And so I'm just saying that that's just ridiculous. I don't even think that Brian was even in the house. I think that's just hearsay. I think they're planning this on him because they know that they got to come up with someone quick because it's all going to come down to the school. And I think this is all about funding. And I think that if the word gets out or this gets leaked even more than it has, it's going to ruin the whole reputation of the entire university itself. You don't get $500 million out of nowhere. I mean, that's a lot of money. And a lot of schools just don't even have that money they can just come up with, and they can merge it with somebody else. I mean, you don't see Harvard or Yale doing stuff like that. I'm just trying to make a point. It just doesn't make any sense. But to go back to everything like I just said, I think that DM's boyfriend somehow knew what was going on. He got her the hell out of there. She lured Kay back to the house. Also, I have a theory that I think that possibly that the first two that were taken out, I think it might have been E and X, and this would have been like behind the alleyway in Queens, and that they took care of them there, and they had X witness E's unalive, and then they brought them back to the house to make it look like they were taken care of in the house. That's another theory I have as well.
Yep. Okay.
Because Ian's golf clubs, like a couple of them were missing from the bag.
Okay.
And that's another theory as well. I don't know. There's so many different tributaries on this thing and angles that it could go so many different ways. It really can. And after a while, it gets pretty confusing, to say the least.
Yeah. Now, let me ask you this.
Yeah, go for it.
What about the fact that they're telling us that these girls were there with their phones in their hands and nobody called police?
Okay, to answer that question, it goes back to the food truck, to the grub truck. If you watch that video, all of them are looking at their phones at the same time, like about a good 4 or 5, maybe 6.
Right.
So either this was done as a snuff, which is a possibility. Using a snuff, someone doesn't make it, or they know what's going to happen. But this could have been different. If that were the case, they could have been texting something going on. Well, hey, this is what's going on. They could maybe possibly texting those people at the grub truck this was taking place. They were all
Right.
looking at something on their videos. I could not see what it was. I tried to zoom in, but I couldn't even tell what it was.
Yeah.
So it's a possibility. I don't know your real name, Hard Truth, but that's okay. I'll just call you that. But that they could have been doing this, and if that's the case, they could have been texting each other as well as any outside possible sources that to let them know what was taking place, or from every time frame as the things were happening.
Okay, I want
I'm
to
just trying
ask.
to be careful what I say on here. That's all.
Right, right. I want to ask you one more question.
Go for it.
Now, assuming you are one of the assassins, one of the intruders,
Yeah.
okay?
Yeah.
If you go into a house like that, you're not gonna check all the rooms.
Well, first of all, I'm not going to go to a house like that. You had 4 or 5 cars right there in the driveway.
Right. That's even more reason. That's even more.
So everyone's home. So everyone's home. Okay. So you'd be out of your mind even to do that, because someone's going to wake up, or someone is still awake. I don't believe that the lights are out. I believe that the lights were on.
Right.
I don't care how drunk you are, how high you are. It don't matter. You're coming in your house. Now, the only thing I could think of is that they knew them. They let them in. I don't think that nobody came in through the sliding glass door. If they did, they let them in, or they let them in through the front door. Because I know for a fact that everybody had the code for the front door, as well as all the code for all the other doors in the house. Whatever bedroom doors had any of the those computerized locks on them.
Right. Right. Okay.
But yes, but that's my answer. I mean, 4 to 5 cars in the driveway. Come on.
Yeah.
I mean, madam, sorry, but seriously, that's you be out of your mind to do something like that, because and if you know it's a party house, who's to say there's not other people in that house partying?
Right.
So you don't even know that.
Ethan's sister or somebody's Jeep was there. I think there were more than just the people that lived there vehicles. It was at least 1 or 2 other vehicles there as well. And so that made it look even more crowded to me.
So in that video, no, you're right, absolutely. In the video they show that was coming from Queens Road. When they break it down, I forget what I'll send you the link. I think I actually put it up there before. Where they actually break it down and they actually kind of tell you what they're really saying as they try to cover up things. You could hear a diesel truck in there. If you look in that video, you could actually see about 4 to 5 people either running towards the front door or coming out of the front door. Which is coincidental, because if you remember that night over in Banfield where they stopped those 3 people, if you remember that police officer or whoever he was, that wannabe rent-a-cop, whatever you want to call him, if you look in the background, you remember you see those 4 to 5 silhouettes they're walking past?
Right.
I think that might have a huge significance of what took place right there. They might have just been walking down the street. But what still baffles me the most is, look, if this was a mass murder, which I know it wasn't done by one person. It was a highly huge conspiracy, okay? Do I think this was personal? No. Do I think this was revenge? 100%. It was vindictive, it was heinous, it was sadistic, and it was joyful. And at the same time, it was a message being sent. So somebody, as we say in Italian, "Zitto non dire niente," what basically means is that, shut up and stop talking. So when you don't shut your mouth, guess what? It gets nailed shut in other ways as possible. Okay? And I think that this is what led to all this. Because whether it was definitely about money, it could have been about somebody getting rid of something, or someone was talking, or someone should have been saying something, or there was a snitch. There's a whole bunch of things here, but if you put all those things together, it really makes sense. This was definitely not personal. If this was personal, let's say this was a serial killer, they would not take out the entire facility. If you remember even Ted Bundy, I mean, he would just kill one person. So if another person saw something going on, he'd take off. He's not going to go after them. So this was definitely not personal. This was vindictive, 100%.
Now, I have to agree with you on it not being personal. I have been saying that. And the reason I don't believe that it was personal is I don't believe that it was personal, but because number one, it was 4 people. You can't have a grudge against 4 people. I mean, even if one or two people in there were involved in something they shouldn't have, or you had one or two informants in there, not everybody in that house was the culprit. So I just don't believe that it was personal either. And I do believe that there's a possibility that a snuff film was filmed in that house. I just have that feeling. I don't know why. I believe that not only was it for the joy of killing, revenge, like you said, somebody.
Yeah.
But I also believe that they made money off of the filming too.
Oh, definitely, 100%. I mean, I don't know what else this could have been done. I mean, what is kind of strange is the rightful owners of this house are very weird, and they have a lot of records to them. And if you really look back into their background, there's some interesting stuff that you're gonna find out. And I think a lot of people already know that. But I'm gonna tell you right now, there was no one weapon used. It wasn't definitely a K-bar, because I'll tell you, a K-bar knife. And my buddy, who was retired from the Marines, he said that even the blade on that thing gets so dull within the first couple seconds. There's no way they could have made all those slits and tears and and gouges. He said you're talking like a machete, maybe I'm not kidding, like a claw of a hammer, maybe. I mean, or an axe. I'm talking some serious weapons. And another thing, as I think I put one time in the chat, and I'm gonna be as blunt here as possible. But if this was definitely with a cartel, guns were not used. Those organizations use weapons that make sure it is of torture, and it is not it's not over 1, 2, 3. So in my opinion, this definitely gone on for at least an hour, until they finally, to their surmise.
Right. Hold on 1 second. Hold that thought.
Of course.
Shout out to AF for a $10 super chat sticker. Let's see the note. Banfield, the three guys, the middle guy in the gray plaid shirt and round sunglasses is wearing one black glove. Serious. Okay, we did look into that because they found one glove in the grass, and Nancy Grace was saying that the glove wasn't it didn't mean anything. She's not qualified to say that.
I do not like her one bit. Or as she's nothing but a streaker, as we say. She really is. She's just a nasty streaker, which means she's a nasty witch. And that retired detective was walking around with his wife, and it's just so coincidental, because none of the LE, I have other choice words, but anyway, the LE, none of them found that glove, and this guy happened to find it, who's a retired detective with his wife, and says, "Well, look at this." They didn't even go to check this out. But the biggest baffled thing to this whole case here is that there is no blood leading from the interior out to the exterior, okay? And vice versa. So usually in a case like that, it was all done it was an inside job, meaning that either the two ones that were living had something to do with this. They could have done the whole thing. No one even knows that for a fact yet. I don't believe they could have cleaned up all that blood. It's impossible, because professional people that do this takes them over a day to do that type of work. And the way that they described that scene, and they wouldn't even let the EMT in there, it was that graphic, like something out of a horror movie. There's no way in hell they could have cleaned up all that blood, in that time frame, as well as his car, all that bleach. I don't care what he had his bachelor's and master's in. There's just no way. It would be literally impossible. There was always going to be some kind of DNA left behind, or tons of blood. You could not get rid of that blood. Blood is sticky. It's slippery when it's fresh. It's nasty, and it reeks like sulfur.
Right. Well, somebody's asking me to ask you. It says, ask him about the fingers being cut off, and I tell you, somebody steals.
Yeah, that was Zaina. She put up a fight. This is what they're saying. There's no proof of this, because they're only going by just because she has those marks. You can't really say that she put up a fight. I just got a feeling that this was torture to Zaina, and I got a feeling that after Zaina was taken out, that this is what they did to her. Something tells me that she was the target all along, and somehow I think this might ties in with Emma. I think Emma got X back into the scene, and things gone bad.
Yeah. Well,
because it's interesting how her and Demetrius were in for some serious charges, and bada bing, bada boom, all of a sudden they just dissolved that quick. I mean, that's impossible. There's no way that can happen that fast.
Okay, I have another question for you.
Mm-hmm.
do you believe that maybe somebody stole the stash out of that house? Somebody took it.
Yeah.
I think
I don't. Yeah, these secret rooms and tunnels and things like that. It's possible there could have been something going on. I mean, it still could exist. I don't know. If that were the case, that's probably how they got in the house. That didn't even let them in. But that's kind of creepy. Why would you? I mean, I'd have that stuff boarded up. I don't want people like coming through and stuff like that. That's creepy. Yeah, if someone took stairs, okay, it's real simple. If you interfere with someone's product, and I'm speaking coming from Brooklyn now, okay? And I'm not
right.
going to say too much here, but I'm just going to like put this kind of like into some scenarios that did take place.
It's the same thing in Miami and Atlanta.
Exactly. So no different. You got it. So you know what happens when you interfere with something like that, or people interfere, or they talk something like that. Bad things are going to happen. There's going to be consequences, and I mean very intense consequences.
I agree, and I feel like that would explain why we have a quadruple murder, because this is the type of thing that happens when you mess with, the product, like you said.
Yeah.
That would explain the four, and it would support what I said, that if Dylan and Bethany were there, they would have been in the ground too, because
Yep.
they wouldn't have left anybody. They
No.
probably meant to get all six, and Dylan and Beverly wasn't there. To make a statement. They wouldn't have left. I just don't believe they would have let them. They would have came in there, and they would be. These people are thorough. They
Yeah.
don't mess around.
You know, I'm gonna go off the record here. I'm gonna be as short and to the point. My family, which I'm not gonna go into detail, but on certain sides, when things like this have happened, yeah, there's no witnesses. Let's just put it that way.
Right.
That's it. There's no witnesses. I don't care if you're the nicest person in the world. There are no witnesses.
Amen.
No witnesses.
Kimberly Ann has a good point here. She said the fact that they're so brazen shows they're protected. There's a machete in the back seat of the car.
Well, exactly. Yeah.
I think this is the reason for the cover up, that is, you can't just bring organized crime to court. I mean, it happens, but it doesn't happen every day. Okay, that's my problem with Emma and Demetrius. I mean, these small-time dealers, they probably had something to do with maybe going over there collecting the money, dropping the product or whatever. But they're low level. The people that have this kind of power, you don't see them on no mugshot in some other city getting arrested for something low. I don't want to say low level because somebody died, but I'm saying it would be for something serious, like violent crime. And so
I can say this much. Yeah, you mentioned Miami, you mentioned Atlanta, I mentioned Brooklyn, all New York, whatever. It could be any city out there. If this were my family, and let's say these were like friends, like these were like my siblings and stuff like that, I assure you this case would have been rectified a long time ago. I can promise you that. Because what blows my mind is the I'm going to use initials here, SG and family. You're 90 miles away after you find out that your daughter was taken out, or as we say, kutanota, and basically you don't even jump in the car and go find out what the hell's going on. I mean, come on. I mean, I would be in that car in a heartbeat.
Right. Well,
so
go ahead.
No, I'm sorry. I'm just drinking some vino. But basically, yeah. But it's just I mean, your family comes first. Right. I think the father's a little weird, to tell you the truth. I don't think he's being completely honest about a lot of things. He knows a lot more than he. I think of that. I still believe that even without that gag order, I don't think he still would be saying things. Maybe things were. He might have got a message from somebody or someone or a bunch of people for him to shut up.
I think Mr. G is trying to get some money out of this as much.
Oh yeah, he's sick.
Which you can't blame him now. I'm not blaming him. Because
right.
he lost the child in a brutal way, and they owe him. So I can't say anything about him bad about doing that. I'm just saying he set up the suit in May. He filed papers to set up the suit in May. And so going along with that narrative, I don't understand why he's doing that. I think the reason he's doing that is because it would be more sensational for Kaylee to have been taken out by Brian Kohlberger because he's this international figure now. Then for him to just go away and say they don't know who did it, they got the wrong guy. My daughter's case was never solved, and people gonna just forget about her. That's that's part of.
I think he's bizarre. I think the wife's bizarre. What also is interesting is that now he's changing his whole story. He's saying he doesn't believe it was just one person. Now he thinks it was more than one person. Okay, interesting.
He knows it's more than one person.
Yeah, it's obvious because now one person could have done this. It's just impossible. Unless you're like a ninja or something like that, like an underground assassin. But also, what I find to be very interesting. Let's talk about the ex-boyfriend, JD. Okay, he winds up with Murphy, an adorable creature. He never even shows up at court with the family for moral support, which I thought was very strange. I mean, that's your ex-girlfriend, and you don't show up, in court with them, to give them that support for the family. But the family saying great things about them doesn't make any sense.
All right. Well, A.F. is saying, I don't think Steve G is about that. If they need money, so what? Wait for the truth to come out, if it even does. Well, I think that if it was me and it was my child, and they were saying the rest of my kids can go to the college for free, and it just depends on what Mr. G's financial situation was before this happened. I've heard so many stories about him losing money in the
me too.
And
but
you never know. But I mean, he's trying to get all he can out of it. He's not the only parent. Okay.
Yeah.
The only parents that I have not heard from, really, as far as getting money, is Xana Kernodle family.
The father and the sister, they did that interview, and she still has dreams about her, and they're always gonna. They're the only ones that I really see that are really showing any type of emotion. Even the the SG family, I don't see much. You don't hear any about Ethan's family talking about anything anymore. It's like, forgive me for saying it, no disrespect, no misbiage, no disrespect, I'm sorry, but basically just I just don't it's almost like they're trying to pretend like it never happened, and it's like they're almost like pretending like it never even existed, which is really sick.
They're capitalizing on it. Ethan's mom.
I know, but it's sick.
Not only did she write a book, but they said she was at some show with a table, doing PR and all kinds of stuff. So, I mean, they all getting it in, as far as I'm concerned, and I don't have a problem with that because I feel like Moscow owes them. They shouldn't have to try to hustle anything up. That's why I posted the GoFundMe for all of the families to remind people, hey, they delayed the trial. They're going to need more money. They're going to have to go back and forth to Moscow. It's things they're going to want to do. So, keep giving to the GoFundMe because you don't know what these parents, the only family that I feel, and they're not even victims. I know Bethany's family is very well off. But as far as the rest of them, I really don't know. And I'm not interested in going that far into it. But I just feel like it's more to this why Mr. G changed his narrative.
Yeah.
Now he's just pro-prosecution, pro-death row for Brian Kohlberger because that's not what he was saying in the beginning. And
exactly. Plus, if you also remember, they also had a prior roommate that she committed suicide because I guess she was being bullied. Now, sometimes in things like that can also be where, someone can be, vindictive, that can take place, or which makes a lot of sense too. I also believe that they weren't paying any rent. I believe that the agreement was for the rent was as long as they allowed to store the stuff there, as well as any additional stuff. That was the agreement, and that's why they were probably allowed to live there, because it was the main distribution or the nucleus for the entire town, if you know what I mean.
Right.
What I also find to be very, very strange, when I was in college at NYU and Rutgers, I find it to be very strange because I never had to sign an NDA. That's not even heard of. Okay. I never heard of any student, seriously, Yale, Harvard, Dartmouth, Brown. I'm talking university presidents. I'm talking Ivy League schools. None of them have to sign NDAs. Okay,
Right.
and these are prestigious schools in the country. I've never heard of anything like that in my life. I'd be like, why do I got to sign an NDA? I'm not signing no NDA. I don't think so. So if there's a reason why, I mean, because then obviously then that things are taking place on a regular basis, and they don't want you to talk about it. Well, I'm sorry, but that's very suspicious.
Yeah. Yeah. You're right. You're right.
So there's a bunch of different avenues here. A lot of ways this thing could go. Like I said, I still think from what I said from the get-go, as well as you agree with me on that before, what we talked about, I think that's what this all ties into. It's real simple. You think before you speak, and that's it.
Right. Well, you're not supposed to be speaking in a gag order, but he says whatever he wants to, whenever he wants to. And
Right.
that's how he got himself in this mess.
Yeah.
Because he's not supposed to be talking anyway. All right.
Yeah, there's something going on with that too. Yeah.
We're gonna move on to Linda Lane, and I'm gonna give my
I'm sorry, that was the street, Linda Lynn. I apologize. Not Queens. Yeah, my apologies.
I'm just saying, what I'm saying is the first problem I have with the Linda Lane theory is that I personally have seen video surveillance from Linda Lane.
Mm-hmm.
There's 2 cameras there, at least 2. One of them shows Taylor Avenue directly, and the other one is the one. Matter of fact, I'll show it to you and come back to this article.
Mm-hmm.
All right. If you're gonna plan to be doing something like that, you're not gonna do it somewhere where there's camera footage. I mean, look at this. This is. Let me put it full screen.
Yeah, that's what I was talking about. The surveillance here. They actually could see people, like 4 or 5 people, either coming from the front door or going or coming out of the front door.
But I don't believe that anybody would plan to do something violent in this complex.
Right, because there's too many people around. Yeah, exactly.
It's too many cameras. It's too many cameras. And that I just feel like, and a lot of people might not like it, you know what I'm saying? It's just my opinion. It's not written in stone. What I'm saying is, it's a stretch. When you commit a violent crime like that, the longer you with the victims, the higher risk it is. And so for you to commit a crime here, and then you want to take them and transport them to another house, you're going to carry Maddie and Kaylee upstairs in a 3-story house to put them in the bed. Who's going to plan to do all of that? Oh, it's too organized for that sloppiness to be involved to me. It's just
if you look out, it's a good point. If you look outside Dana's window on the balcony,
you can
all
see
that red stain. Yeah.
They would now if somebody with enough power to do this and stop the police from really investigating it and bringing the people who actually did it to trial, then they wouldn't be worried. They would be worried about doing it somewhere like this, and I just don't see how this. I just don't see how that makes sense. Maybe I'm missing something.
Whoever did it knew the dog.
Yeah, it's possible.
Because if this was any type of a cult or any type of a cartel, and I'm not gonna go in detail here, but I'm just gonna say there would be no one alive in that place. No one. No animal. No one.
Well, I don't know. I have a problem with Murphy because I have a problem with Murphy because the simple fact that he's not a big dog. If he was a Doberman Pinscher or
he's a Golden Doodle,
where you would have to really deal with him to try to manage him. That'd be one thing, but he wasn't that big of a dog. A little food, a little snack, or whatever. That would have been so hard to put him in the room. But because of the size of the dog, but also to your point, if they didn't know him, one of the perpetrators could be walking around with a dog bite, but we don't know who they are. So how will we know? Somebody he could have bit one of them. But how will we know?
That's true. That's why it's possible you could even lean towards the frat as well on this.
right?
Because
We
there's
can
also interesting is that Ann Taylor gone to that university. Chief Fry, who I don't like, gone to that school. And you know how fraternities work. You're brothers for life.
right, right. You're right.
So
But
you
then
look out for one another all the time.
you got pet lovers too. You got people that'll kill a human being. They treat the
Yep.
animals better than they do a human being. You
Yeah,
might
I
be
have.
somebody that just
Yeah,
don't feel like you should harm animals. Hey, we here for these people to make revenge or whatever.
yeah,
Kaylee is deceased, so she's not gonna know that her dog is deceased. So there'd be a
right,
waste of energy. I mean, there's
right.
a lot of logical ways that the dog could still be alive without the people that did it knowing the
But
dog.
Jack JD just happens to wind up with the dog, right? That's just so. You would think that the parents would have kept him because for something for them to hold on to in memory of her.
Well, I don't think Jack thinks that way. That is a very good point. I didn't even think about that. But I don't think
That's it. Yeah,
they were saying they had joint custody of the dog. So
strange. That's weird.
so he would have had to willingly give it to the Gonsalves family. And I just don't think that's his state of mind for some reason. Let me change
Exactly.
back to this article. But I don't think that was his state of mind. I really don't. And so if the dog had bitten somebody, seemed like we have 3 other DNA there. Somebody took off a glove. Maybe that's who got bit, I don't know. But
Yeah.
it's,
And
it's
then where do you get the money to buy a Range Rover in
now,
college?
yeah.
I
Well,
mean, a used Range Rover was probably going to run you around in good shape like that, probably $60K.
yeah. Well, they
Where did
said
she
that
come
one
up with the
there.
money for that? She had no payments. They said she bought it outright. She saved
No,
up $60,000.
no,
That's 15 grand a year.
no. It was used. First of all, it was used. It wasn't a brand new Rover. But to your point,
Right.
I'm thinking that from the pictures and the social media that Kaylee was on OnlyFans and only the video of the policeman at the door a couple of times, the way Kaylee came to the door, it seemed like they were selling drugs out of there, that Kaylee was in control of that.
Yeah.
That's what it seemed to look like to me. The way she came out with her hands on her hips, to the
Yeah.
back door, and
Yeah.
Hunter came and sat down next to her, and it seemed like they were the ones that were running the house. And we saw the lookout in the window when the police walked up to the house. We saw the lookout up there in the window.
I forgot about that. That's right.
There
Mm-hmm.
was a lookout, and the police never shut that house down. Those kids,
Nope.
those kids shouldn't even had all that going on, and they supposed to be in college.
That's a great point right there. Because when I was in college, if there was too many complaints about a house, you were kicked out. You were evicted.
Yeah.
And the landlord would have been notified ASAP, or the dean or the chancellor. And in this situation, that's probably why whoever owned the house, I don't know why they didn't tell them about all this, because they should. Well, I don't know the whole scenario behind it, but they should have normally just had them kicked out, and none of this would have been taking place unless they were all in on it.
My big question is, how did it escalate to this? Just the kids didn't know each other. They just came to school in August or what, from the summer. And
Right.
between August and November, with the house parties and stuff, it escalated to this.
I think it was more like, this is the agreement. You can have all this. You can have, this is what you have to do. You follow through, everything is cool. If you betray us, well, that's a whole different scenario.
Yeah. I think that I honestly feel like somebody stole the stash out of the house.
The dumbest thing they could have done. Yeah.
It got to who did it, and then some people say that
The
somebody.
flushing part you're talking about?
Yeah.
If someone did that, or as we say, chimiao or ciao presto, basically you're done.
Yeah. I feel like organized crime. They didn't know who did it. There was rumors that Maddie flushed it, and it was rumors of this or that, but they didn't know who exactly did it, so they got everybody. That's pretty much how it goes anyway. They didn't have to know exactly who did it. All they know is the stuff was going out the house, so everybody in the house goes. That's just how it is. And so
Yeah, but that's bad.
Organized crime all over it.
Because if you did that and people are waiting on that for profit from other sources, and someone tends to decide to go to a higher hierarchy, that's a no-no.
Yeah, that's a big no-no. And they didn't
Yeah.
know. I think Maddie, they were putting it on Maddie, but
Yeah.
that doesn't necessarily mean she did that. I don't believe she did that, but I do believe that they tried to put it on her. And so I think the people just said, well, we don't know who did it, so we're going to just come in, and that's how mass murders happen in the drug scene anyway, because somebody stole something.
The night before, that night it happened, and then I forget who was walking with them down. I was going to say the beat, or we call it the beat, but the sidewalk. You had Maddie, you had Kaylee, and then the guy said, I'm almost positive he said this. He said, "They're going to get you for this." And then she said, "Hey, Maddie, what did you tell Adam?" And then she's, Katie said that to Maddie. She goes, I told Adam everything. We still have no idea, what that entails. But prior to that, when he said that, if that's really what was said, it sounded like, they're going to get you for this. They kind of knew, and they probably thought, yeah, we're just going to brush this off. That's it. They're not going to do nothing. And they possibly just thought it wasn't going to happen.
Right.
Unless that person knew it was going to happen that night. But what I also find interesting, when the person that drove them home was like 1.5 miles, that Maddie's coat was found by the fire hydrant, and maybe they could have nabbed her right there or something, or maybe he was part of this, because it really wasn't an Uber or a Lyft service. It was just someone that just drives people around on the campus to make sure they get home safe. Maybe that person had something to do with it, just because they interviewed that person, which I know wasn't a very in-depth interview. Maybe that could have been also a source to this as well.
Right. Those are great points. This article here, Linda Lane, and she's saying, no, the video is not fake, Gunner. I guess she's talking to JB, but it's not a bombshell either. Let's analyze it rather than opining about its obvious authenticity. Let me tell you all about these videos or audios. I don't entertain any audios. I don't entertain not one audio leak, because they're very easy to make. I can make a video of somebody, a dog whimpering and something right now. It'll take me about a minute or two to get my phone and make an audio. So I don't trust any of them.
Right.
I understand people have Ring Cam, it's 2023, but I don't trust any of the leaked audio, because I don't believe it. I can't trust it. It may be authentic, it may not, but I don't trust it.
Especially a Ring Cam. To pick all that up, if that was because think about this too. This also doesn't make any sense. If those windows were closed, because remember, it was 28 degrees that night. Okay, It was way below freezing, and I believe there was snow on the ground, because there was definitely there wasn't no snow in the field when they stopped those guys. I thought there was snow on the ground by the house. So, but anyway, if the windows were closed, so how the hell could that Ring Cam on audio pick up whatever took place inside that house? It's impossible.
I don't believe it. I don't believe it.
There's no way.
There's no way. And
no.
I'm gonna tell you something else about these leaked audios. It's so easy to make them. It's a quick way to make a headline, to get views, because people feel like it's a new piece of evidence. But there is no new evidence. The only evidence there is the evidence we had from the beginning. That's the only evidence we have. The evidence that's coming out now is stuff that's manufactured. Somebody made it. I heard a video earlier. Somebody emailed me where the car was honking at the band.
Yeah, I heard that stuff. And what really ticked me off was I wanted to smack the person that made that audio. When you hear all those screams in the background, there's no way you could hear that if those windows were closed. That's impossible. That really upset me a great deal, because that's a sick person to do something like that.
It is.
And that person, in my opinion, should if they know who did it, should be prosecuted to the fullest. That's not cool.
Well, I'll tell you who I don't believe did it is the Brian Kohlberger, because he's just as weird as he can be. But I'll tell you what, he knows something about this.
He does
something about it, because they didn't just well, they could have just picked him up out of the clouds.
Yeah.
But they were saying in the New York Times that the reason they started investigating him was his disturbing behavior, quote unquote, at the university, because he wasn't getting along with his team. Some girls accused him of following her to her car, and even though they didn't find anything after they investigated it, they're saying this is what put him on the radar. But Brian knows something about this situation. He knows. And there's nobody, I mean, he's sitting there too calm. He's too calm about, number one, being charged with all this stuff. He's too calm, but sitting there with delay after delay after delay. And God only knows when he'll go to trial. He's too calm with waiving the speedy trial. He knows something. He knows how they got him in that seat. He might be innocent, but he knows why they are pointing at him. He knows how they got him involved with this. And I just think that that's going to end up coming out too. Because you don't realize how long you can sit in jail waiting for trial. And there's no way people can't hold water. They're already leaking from here to there for money. And that's not going to stop. You know, every once in a while we get the truth, like Howard Bloom. Somebody will get a big enough check, they'll break out and tell something they really know that really happened. And that's what I capitalize on. All these audios and video leaks, I just think it's foolishness. I don't waste my time. It takes time to sit there and watch a 30-minute video, 50-minute video, and then at the end, you haven't told me anything, and half what you told me is a lie. I'm not going to sit and listen to lies all day. I don't have time to do it. You know? Yeah,
they're like the railroad tracks. Well, like in the beginning, they were talking about the previous owner of the Mad Greek, that he had a hell of a background, and he might have been involved in this somehow too, but it really wasn't. And then now all of a sudden, that just seemed to diminish and just go away. It was like really 100% abolished. Yeah. And then you get these people out there that are so disingenuous that really annoy me. If you don't know something, don't act like you do, because you sound like a fool, and that's just not right either. But yeah, I mean that just seemed to go away, pretty much overnight, and now it's all, all these, like I said, all these different angles and all these, all the coming at you from all different, directions.
Right. Well,
so I don't know.
Brian is going to have to ride it out, because he gave up his right to go ahead and go to trial, and the prosecution didn't have anything, and so now they just gave the prosecution.
They're just stalling. Yeah,
to do exactly what they're doing. They give them time to do exactly what they're doing: manufacture evidence and put their narrative together a little stronger. Than just pushing in our brains that DM and Bethany were there, and I just don't believe it. I'm sorry, I just don't believe.
I don't believe that. I don't believe none of them were there. I believe they were out of the house. And I believe they knew this was going to go down, and that's why they weren't there. So they came back, and they pretend like they were there, and then they conjured up some kind of a story so that it was coerced from both different parties, and that's how it looks like. Because then if both stories are are the same, then the authorities are going to believe that, because that's usually the case. But if you're on trial for your life here, okay, I don't know how you could be so calm.
Right. Because he knows that he has to tread lightly to get out of this. Sometimes you can be tied up in something and not necessarily be the one that did it, but involved in some way, because Brian was in Moscow a couple of times, and so he could have been buying pills or whatever. People hate for me to say that, but Brian could have been buying pills or whatever.
Oh yeah, because he was definitely at that Halloween pool party. I can tell you right now.
Well, I don't know. I wish y'all would email me about that, because I know he was in Moscow a couple of times, and they still can't give us a real reason why he was pulled over when he was over by that grocery store. Okay, at night he had to be to work the next morning. But I just don't believe this guy had the wherewithal. And back to something else that you said. Yeah. I don't believe that that Brian could have took Ethan with a K-bar knife. I don't
No
believe it.
way. No way.
I-
Ethan was a big guy. You know,
Yeah.
I'm 6'1", he's 6'4", 6'5". He's way bigger than me. Yeah, I mean, you know, he was a wrestler. He could, you know, he's used to taking down people. A K-bar knife is not that powerful. I mean,
No, it's
really, it's not like having like a like a Rambo type of knife. That's a whole different ball game. Now you're talking something very sharp and that can withstand a lot of, you know, infliction
and I
on
believe that
somebody.
Rambo knife is serrated.
Yeah, but I don't think I don't think this was a knife. I think this was okay. I think it was a machete. I think
Yeah.
it was an axe. I
Yeah.
think it was a claw of a hammer. There was no knives in here because the way they describe these wounds, when you say sharp force, those are chopping motions. And knives don't chop like that. They, you know, a machete, an axe, the claw of a hammer. That's a whole different. Plus, I also heard, I don't know if this is true, that one of them was almost decapitated.
Yeah, I heard that too. I heard,
And I heard it was, what's her name? I heard it was Maddie.
I heard that some of Kaylee's organs were missing.
Okay, so let's analyze that real quick. And I'm not really an analytical person, but at the same time, if those organs were taken, that's kind of like a trophy or a souvenir.
Right. Or to sell it.
Or to sell it, and now we're talking the black market. Now it's a whole different. Now you're getting real deep into things that people don't want to get involved in.
That's what I'm
If
saying.
that were the case, this was definitely not amateur. Okay,
It definitely snuff film. Okay.
you kind of had like a Jack the Ripper type of person who knew where to go and what to do.
Okay, let me show y'all this. Hold on, let me change my screen. And let's see who we got here. All right.
Pebbles and Batman, Chicala
You gonna have to teach me word.
I'm talking to my. I have 2 corgis.
You got to teach one word at a time.
Be nice. Be nice. Chibabane.
You got to teach one word at a time.
That was Bam Bam. I have Pebbles and Bam Bam. Those are my corgis.
Oh Lord, you got a whole house full of them.
I have. See now, if someone walked in my house, Bam Bam would bite that living hell out of them.
Right.
Okay, I'm
Now,
sorry, but I'm not.
Bam?
Well, if you remember the Queen of England, God rest her soul, Queen Elizabeth, her if you remember her fox teddy bears, those are corgis. That's what I have.
Oh, okay.
Pebbles and Bam. Bam Bam's mixed with a husky, and Pebbles is their brother and sister. They're just Bam Bam. Say hi. Okay, there you go. Say hi, Bam Bam. Say salve. Buonasera. All right. Okay. But basically, yeah. That's what I have. But my dogs would bite because they're defending their home. I'm gonna bite because I'm defending my home.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? I'm not gonna lock myself in my door and just freak out. I'm going out there. Hell no, that's my house.
Okay, but there's a difference between you and them because this was a party house and it was full of people all the time.
True.
So that dog was he had the idea that, you know, there's people over here, you know.
He probably knew him. He knew him. Yeah.
You know, he just 150 people in one house, or even 25 people.
Which is hard to believe because I mean it's the good sized house, but where are you going to put 150 people in that house?
Coming and going, probably coming and going.
Yeah, you can't. Yeah, you're not going to be able to fit them in there comfortably. I can tell you right now, there's no way.
Now I'm going to show y'all this article from the Daily Mail, and this is something a lot of people have stopped talking about. When the garbage truck took the garbage, and then they were out there at the landfill trying to collect it. And I'm not gonna read it all, but it says the sanitation truck had already collected trash from other homes in the area, so the garbage from the home where the students were killed was mixed in.
Yeah.
Police investigating the murders were seen in a desperate conversation with garbage man who collected the trash from the home. Hazmat suit cops were then forced to search the full contents of the garbage truck at the depot. They talk about the out the landfill, I guess. Let's
Okay,
see.
let's talk real quick about the CSIs there. Okay, poor job. When you clear a scene of any scene, it starts from the exterior first and then to the interior. Those cars should have been moved off that property first. Okay, they should have just been moved out of the area. They could have searched them, and then you got to work the whole perimeter of the exterior first before you even make the attempt of going inside.
Right.
And
Well,
that's how it's supposed to be. You could go inside first and look at the scene, but they always start off from the interior, correctly from the exterior, and work their way in.
Okay, do you think the murder weapons could have been in the trash? I don't.
No, I don't. They were taken with them.
No, I don't think so either. I think that the prosecution is getting ready to try to say that they found the murder weapon. And the way that they're gonna say that they found the murder weapon is they're trying to get Amazon to say that Brian Kohlberger, bought the knife from them. And
No, he didn't.
I don't believe that either. And I think
No.
Amazon is dragging their feet on agreeing to some of that stuff because they don't have those records. Now they're down the clicks. Okay?
Right.
Why would they go back to Amazon? And the K-bar knife is not established as a murder weapon. They don't know what the murder weapons were. But they got in our minds that it was the K-bar knife. Well,
nope.
They don't have a murder weapon, so the next best thing is to say, well, he bought it. We don't have it, but he bought it. And I don't believe I don't believe Brian Kohlberger had unless he's, we don't know that much about his personality because he doesn't speak. But I just don't see him as the type of guy, number one, to have a K-bar. I don't see him as the type of guy to wear Vans. I don't see him as the type of guy to wear Dickies casually out in public. I just don't see him doing any of those things. Some of the things in his repertoire are things that we can observe from looking at pictures of him. And we can look at the way he dresses and tells that man does not wear Vans. Okay, he's trying to push himself off as a professional when he got the WSU. He wore button-down shirts and corduroy pants and stuff like that with his shirt tucked in. I just don't see that.
But all that blood in that house, and only one footprint was found, supposedly by the door. All that blood in that house. I don't care if they were naked or they had. It doesn't matter. It would be all over that house.
Right.
There's no way in hell that no footprints were. The only problem is what happened here is when the LE got in there, they contaminated the scene.
All right.
When they started walking around, that could alone destroy evidence right there. That was crucial.
All right, we got a comment here. I don't believe Linda Lane is fake. Someone posted it and turned the volume way down. People fixed it and you can hear it. Okay, AF is sold on Linda Lane. And I think that's where we clash because I just feel like it's too many cameras at Linda Lane. The first surveillance we had was from Linda Lane when they were saying they had the car on Taylor Avenue. And
right.
So I think for somebody to commit a crime like this, surveillance cameras would have definitely been a concern, just like walking into a house and not checking all the rooms. I don't believe that people experience with unaliving people, that's just some things I just don't think that they would do. And if I was going to pull something like that, the only way that somebody could be unalived, in my opinion, this is just my opinion, all right, AF, is that if it was an accident, if somebody died by accident, and then they scrambled to, try to get rid of them. But here's my thing. If the kids were unalived somewhere else, okay, and we know the high risk of being with the victim, because I've seen where people got caught with the body in the car or trying to bury it. In North Carolina, the guy was getting ready to bury the guy, and the police walked up on him right there with the body. So when you're going to do something like this, you don't want to be with the victims no longer than you have to. But my thing is, as much open road as there is where they claim Brian Kohlberger drove, remember, from Blaine, the Uniontown, and you look at the Google Maps of those areas, if they were going to if it happened on Linda Lane, looked to me like they would have took them out there. where it would
It's rural. Yeah.
you might not have never found them. Why would you
Mhm.
take them back to the house with all of these cars and stuff and try to put them in the house? I mean, it's just a stretch to me, AF. AF is just a stretch to me. Help me to understand, convince me. Because I don't know. I just can't see
All I'm
it.
gonna say is whoever did this, they were in this house before many times, and I mean not like on a regular basis, but they made appearances or they popped in. They
Well,
knew the layout in and out.
it's not hard to do because people
Right.
are over there all the time. So I
Well,
mean,
it is interesting though. They did find, if you remember this, in the backyard, they found an actual map of the layout of the house on a piece of paper. You remember that?
no, I don't remember that. You telling me something new here.
That was something like in the beginning. They found it was I have to go way back, but they found there was a piece of paper that had a layout of the house, and it was like a drawing that they found this in the woods.
Okay, well, I mean, there you go. I mean, that lets you know that it was
There's your blueprint of murder right there.
yeah, that to me, there's the organized crime or somebody in the street or somebody
Yeah.
that was hired to do this. You know, somebody was
I
hired to
think
do
they
this.
came from the back. I really do. If you remember, if you go up in the back of the house and you drive up that hill, there's like a parking area back there. That would be to my opinion, would be the best way for that to be premeditated. Because if you go through those woods, it's pitch dark. No one can see you.
Well, they said that
Why
was
the hell would you go in from where it's lit, or would you? It doesn't make any sense.
all right, yeah. Well, I just feel like if somebody had a camera filming in there, you
Yeah.
know,
Sick.
they had plenty of time to do it.
Yeah.
Plenty of
Yeah,
time
I don't think this happened 1, 2, 3. I think this was they forgive me for saying, and no disrespect to the lives of the families, but I think they made them suffer.
They did. You know,
And that's usually what happens when you get involved in that type of world. It's not a 1, 2, 3 thing.
no.
Especially when you're dealing with an organization that type. Oh yeah, there's no. It's just yeah, it's a whole different ball game. Because if you hurt them and you made them suffer, guess what? The favor is going to be returned a lot. 200 times worse.
Right. Well, I tell you what, I feel like this is a much bigger than Brian Kohlberger.
Yeah, it is.
I believe it's much bigger than him for the simple fact that one person couldn't have gone in there and done this. It was organized, and I just don't feel like one person could have done it. And the reason I keep saying organized crime is because if it was anybody else, if it wasn't any type of agency with power, then the police would have been there sooner. But I think the fact that the police didn't get there until 12 is evidence that, these people had power. They had all the time in the world to do whatever they wanted to do. And I just don't understand how people can say that it was an organized crime or somebody in the street, because the police, it's like, not only did they come late, they going all jump through hoops to cover it up and put it to bed.
Yeah.
They wouldn't do that. They wouldn't do that for anybody else.
Yeah, but it's also strange too is I know some of them, they had a funeral and some of them were cremated, which I don't know why. That to me doesn't make. The only reason why I could think why they didn't have that an open casket is maybe that something happened to their faces.
Yeah, well, they were mutilated, so
yeah, they were. Yeah, let's get this. Well, I hope everybody hears this to me on this chat. They were not stabbed; they were brutally mutilated. There's a big difference.
Yeah, and that's why that K-bar ain't gonna do it. That's not gonna do it.
No, and when something is taken from someone's body, you know where I'm going with this. This was not amateur.
No, it wasn't, and that's why police are covering it up. The only way, the only other option that, in my mind, of who could have done this if it was an organized crime was law enforcement, one or the other, because they're the only ones that could have had that kind of time.
Or surgical skills. Yeah.
They're the only, and you know, the military, most of
Yeah,
a lot of law enforcement in Idaho came from the military.
yeah,
So,
and they're
so
yep.
they had the skills to do this. They had the skills to do this. So, if it's to me, if it's not organized crime, it's LE themselves because nobody.
Well, I don't know if it was organized, like as far as like what I'm saying. When we all think of organized crime, we think of one thing. I'm not going to get into all that, but I'm just going to say if it was an other organization, I think you know where I'm going with. That's definitely a strong, strong possibility.
Yeah, I can't rule it out because think about this: if the sheaf was planted, okay, if the sheaf
Right.
was planted, let's say the next day or whatever, because they keep saying later they found it and they moving it and everything else. So we know it was planted, you know, we know it was planted. So I would say that, okay, hold on. We got a shout out from Cuse Bill. Hold on a second.
Bam, bam, basta Cimabano.
All right, we got a $5 super chat from Cuse Bill. I'm trying to find the thing where I can read it.
Bam, bam.
Okay, here it is. All right, Drip Drop spoke recently about this being a possible revenge by somebody for SG's criminal brothers' crimes. Okay, what do you think about that? That's shout out.
Well, I mean, it's his brothers. Yeah, it's possible. Yeah, didn't his son? Wasn't he already in, or was he getting out? It had something to do with that.
I don't know if he was getting out, but I know it wasn't a good look. You know, as far
No,
as it wasn't a good look. But
no.
his brother, that's somebody that let me write this down because you know I hadn't even really been. Thank you, Cuse Bill, because I hadn't really been thinking about his brother. I had heard some things about him, but
yeah,
Mr. G so outspoken that I am gonna look at his brother. You know, let me write this down right quick.
Yeah.
But yeah, the sheep. What I was saying was, if the sheep was planted, you know, after the fact, if only law enforcement could get into the crime scene after they were called, after they got that 12 o'clock and cleared everybody, nobody else could go back in there. So if the sheep was planted, law enforcement had to do it.
But what was also strange too is that I've never heard of any authorities tell an EMT they will not let them in, because it's that. I mean, they've seen everything, the worst of the worst. I just thought that was very strange.
What you mean by that?
Because the authorities told the EMT when they arrived on scene they would not let them come in the house because it was that gruesome. There was blood everywhere.
Right. There was.
And I'm thinking to myself, I never heard that in my life because they know what they're walking into. They knew about. I mean, why would you even tell them that? It's like you can't. What do you mean you can't let them in there? You have to let them in there. The coroner is very strange too. When it wasn't a knife that was used. The way she described everything, and all the wounds, what she described. But there's a lot of things she's not saying, and this definitely was not. It wasn't done by when she said it was a sharp object. It was many sharp objects. Yeah. Let's be honest here.
Well, okay. The coroner said in the beginning that stabbed is not the right word.
No, it's not. No.
Because the wounds were more
tears.
Than that.
Yeah.
That the coroner said that in the beginning. So that's
right.
Just a strike against the K-bar knife.
Right.
We need
what she should have said right there. She should have said, I don't see how that knife could have done that, because knives don't tear. Right. And they don't make gouges. A knife, you can use a knife to stab and possibly maybe a quick slash, but that's it. You can't make those wounds like that with a K-bar. It's impossible. There's no way.
Yep. All right. We got Robert K here. That's a great point. And I said it several times. Shout out to Robert K. Listen, I said the same thing. BK was way too old for these girls. I don't think that he was interested in those girls because they were too young. And BK seems to me to be older than his age. If he's 28, then mentally, I would say he's at least 35. So why on earth would he? I just don't feel like that's his type. If he was running with anybody, to me, it would be Xana's mother, Cara, especially if he had something to do with you, especially if he was buying pills or whatever. That's more his speed because he got a drug history now. He got a history of drug use himself. So
Yeah.
and heroin, that's nothing to play with. So
No.
that's way out of Diem and Bethany's league. That's way out of their league, BK. And so not just the age, the fact that this man is a ex heroin user, I guess that's way out of their league. His mindset is way over in the left field somewhere compared to the things that they think about. And so no, I agree with Robert. I agree that this trying to say that everybody probably looked at their pictures online. Everybody probably was liking them and doing all kinds of stuff with those pictures. I mean, they had about it.
And people have it all the time. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So I mean, so what? Even if Kohlberger did like some pictures, that doesn't make him the intruder, because who didn't? I mean, everybody that was in and out of that house probably was liking those pictures and following those girls.
Yep, and like I said, whoever did this enjoyed doing it. It was a pleasure to them. I'm not trying to be sick here, but you know what I mean.
Right. And then it's not. I'm not sure if Diem and Bethany had cars. I mean, we still debating about that. But my thing is, even if they didn't have a car, it was Saturday night. They had the football game.
Right.
For some reason, Quinn, he claims he was not in Moscow.
Yeah.
But I just feel like this is a night that he would have been in Moscow. And I feel like it would have been, why weren't Diem and Bethany boyfriend cars there? Even if they don't have a car, why weren't their boyfriend's cars there? Because they were.
Yeah. How long was Kaylee out of that house for before she came back for that one night before she was leaving the next day?
I believe it was like 3 weeks. I think she had been gone for 3 weeks, if I'm not mistaken. And she should have stayed gone.
Yeah, she should have.
The fact that the boyfriends, neither of the boyfriends was there on a big night like that. Universal Auto had a big football game. It was live, and then they had been out of school that Friday for the holiday, the Veterans Day or whatever. So that was a three-day weekend. Why wouldn't your boyfriend come down from wherever he is, both of them? If you got a man, he gonna be there on the game night to go to the game, or even after the game to hang out. It's gonna be after parties everywhere. Why weren't their cars there? That to me just underscores that Bethany and Diem weren't there either. Because even if they didn't have a car, seemed to me like their boyfriends, they have cars. Why wasn't the black truck there? Parked where maybe they were gone somewhere else or whatever. Because I just don't feel like they were there.
I don't believe they were there either.
Because if I was going in the house to do something like that, the first thing only thing on my mind is not getting caught.
Yep.
And so one of the precautions that I would have to take is to clear the house. That's what they call in the military squaring it away. That's part of squaring it away to make sure that who's all in here first of all. Okay, and if I don't understand. Look, here's another good point. Carrie T said, if Quinn wasn't there, why didn't they call him? Yes, that's a good point. Well, I mean, you didn't call the police. Who did you call? Because, the PCA is saying they're depending on Diem and BF's phones to make some of these.
It makes no sense. You call your friends over, but you don't call the authorities. That don't make any sense.
You're talking to each other from room to room and don't call the police. You mean?
And then you bring your friends over before you call 911. That makes no sense. And I never heard of anything where they said an unconscious person and they use it as a code for something else. I never heard of that in my life. You usually say, hey, there's a DB here, where this is what happened. There's a massacre scene. There's someone passed out. I mean, come on, that doesn't make any sense. You walking out into a bloodbath or you weren't even physically even there, which that's what I still believe. I don't think they were there.
No, I don't think they were there either.
I mean, I can describe that too. But if someone's coming down my hallway in pitch dark, I can't describe what they look like. If they have a mask on and you can only see their eyes, a lot of people have bushy eyebrows. I mean, that's a given. But I mean, I'm sorry that I don't know if the lights were on, but even so, if the lights were on and you're walking down, they said he had that. Supposing he had this thing where he can't see from his peripheral vision or whatever. I forget, some called snow vision or something like that, which I don't believe. But there's no way a murderer is going to walk past you and not do something. There's no way. That is the biggest crock right there.
Well, let's take it even deeper than that. And I want the rest of y'all, I want you to get in on the conversation too. We're in the
get on the conversation. Yeah, because I'm only feel like we're all enough talking tonight.
Yeah, y'all. I put the link in the thing.
Yeah.
Please come on, get on the stage. Hey, Carly.
Carly, get on here. Let's start talking.
I'm gonna take it. Listen, if you're in your own house and you gotta text somebody else in your house because it's people in there, and you mean to tell me you can't come out of your room, but you didn't call the police? Right there, they tell me they weren't there. I'm in my house texting somebody in another room in my house, and we can't just come out of our room and talk to each other. But I'm not gonna call the police. But I can't come out of my room. That's just ridiculous. It's just really insulting to try to make us believe that this is true, because there's no way I'm gonna be in my house and then my son back there, I'm texting him. We texting back and forth. We scared to come out of our room, but neither one of us called the police. When is that ever going to happen? Never. Never. It's never going to happen. So now here's the deep question. Where does that leave us? Let's start the discussion all over again with the idea that they weren't there. What does that mean? What does that mean? If Dylan and Bethany were not in the house, let's just assume hypothetically, they were not there. Number one, that means that Dylan's statement is not true. Okay? And that means that they won't be able to convict Bryan Kohberger. That's my theory. Now, what do y'all say about that?
Well, if they weren't there, basically they knew this was going down.
That's very interesting. I mean, how did they? I said that in my video.
Well, because that's what I'm saying. Like, this was all
my video that I put out today. How did they know not to be home?
Because this is all because they knew that they probably knew about this a week or prior to that, probably after the football game, whatever. Like, this was going to take place, so they said, you can't be home. Stay the hell out of there. It's going to get real messy. It's going to get nasty, and then pretend and come back, and then this could have been all coerced.
Well, when they were saying, telling Maddie they're going to get you for this, and everybody was texting, I think at this point, this is when Dylan and Bethany decided they needed to get out of Dodge.
Yeah.
Because everybody, you said it yourself, everybody is saying the same thing. Everybody was texting at the grub truck.
Right.
And we heard somebody say they're going to get you, Maddie. So, and Kaylee was upset. So, Bethany and Dylan probably were getting the text too. And they said, hey, it's time to, something's supposed to happen tonight. What we need not be at home, But what's disturbing about that is, how did they know it was going to happen at the house?
Yeah, I know. So if they possibly were texting the people at the grub truck, and that could have been indication, say, or a sign, listen, here's what's going on. You need to make your way over this way or something, which could have been the case. Or if they were actually made this film, and let's say those people were actually watching this at the grub truck, which is sick as hell, because then they're just as guilty as everybody else. So it could go either way.
Yeah. Well,
or it could have been the same people. Yeah.
If they were not there, and we have to just strike Dylan's statement. We have to wonder how these girls knew not to be there, okay? And then we also have to think about the fact that they told the PCA was telling us about a white car driving around and whatever, and the phone pings. So what does that mean about the phone pings if the girls weren't there and DM's statement is no good? Do we throw
Yeah.
the phone pings out?
I mean, you could be in areas where your phone doesn't get any reception. I've turned my phone off before just to save on the battery itself. I've done it.
Right.
That is a strong possibility. And believe me, it does help. So if you have to make an important phone call or whatever the case may be, you can turn it back on, later on. A couple of minutes when your phone being off, and I don't mean a couple hours, it's not a big deal. So they really can't jump the gun on that one all because that happens all the time.
Right.
But I don't know. I just think that her boyfriend, who was known as far as a deal in the area, I think he knew about this was going down. I think he got word to DM about it, which also got word to BF about it and said, listen, you need to get the hell out of there and don't be around at this certain time or whatever, and then come back whatever later on or something to make it look good. And then I think this was all organized. Like this is how this was the blueprint, how it was supposed to take place to make it look like this is what really happened.
Right. Okay, I'm gonna put a poll in the chat right quick. Let's see.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna give a couple of shout outs here. Okay, the question for the poll is, let's see. Okay, here it is. Now, you can take that. Do you believe that DM and BF knew not to be home? That's the first poll right there. And it seems like mostly all of y'all are saying yes.
It all makes sense.
Yeah. All right.
Because I'll tell you, when they get these two girls on the stand, and it's time when they cross-witness them, Ann Taylor's going to eat them alive.
If they ever make it.
Well, that's some question. Because I'm starting to wonder if this thing's ever going to make it to trial. Because they might just keep dragging this thing on and on and on and on and on and on and on. It's never going to happen.
I'll tell you what, if the grand juror has been talking, then that's grounds for disqualification right there.
Yeah.
That's grounds for
as well as prosecution and indictment, yeah.
That's grounds to throw that indictment out right there. And that might be why Mr. G is denying it all so vehemently, and Colin Bloom say he's lying because he realizes that
Bloom's right. Yeah.
That would throw the indictment out if a juror is talking leaked information, which they're gonna do. I told y'all from the beginning, when they waived that speedy trial, I said, listen, now that they got all the time in the world, they're gonna build every lie. They're gonna drag Bryan Kohberger. This gonna go on and on and on. That's why I just so disappointed when I found out that Ann Taylor did that. Because what's gonna be different a year from now? You're not gonna, how are you gonna be prepared for a preliminary hearing, but you're not ready to go to trial? It's the same evidence, What were you gonna present at the preliminary hearing June 26th?
Yeah.
If you could make that, you could have made October the 2nd. Just keep delaying and asking for continuance, but don't waive the speedy trial. Don't never waive the speedy trial. Because then, what you saying, you need more time. You didn't do it. If you wasn't there and you didn't do it, they cannot prove that Bryan Kohberger was in the house. I haven't heard any evidence outside this DNA to prove that this man knew those girls or Ethan, or that he was ever in that house. Even here's place. Bryan Kohberger in the house.
And that's exactly what I mentioned this before. All these cameras they claim were around the house. But there's no evidence whatsoever of any intruder or intruders actually walking into the house itself. There's no video of that, which I find to be very strange.
Right. You can't
So
put him.
if you're gonna, I mean, because that proof's in the pudding right there. If you're caught on video walking into the house, okay, then you can say, okay, well, you were there. Okay, I can't say that you did this, but there's a possibility or a hunch that you might have been involved in this somehow. But why is there any video of any intruders or anyone going in and out of that house?
I haven't even seen any proof of Brian Coleman
Exactly.
being outside of his car in Moscow.
Yeah, that's my point.
So I
So
just can't see it.
I just think that the dean of the school or the chancellor just said, "Listen, we got to come up with something here real quick, you know, to make this go away."
Hey, Robin! Shout out to Robin Latham. I'm gonna give my first shout out to my road dog here. Just a minute, and I want to read this comment out and talk about this comment. Hold on, let me give Robin her shout out. I feel like this is so much concrete ways to prove that they weren't there. I'm just kind of surprised, but I'm going to read this comment here. Cindy Abbott, I kind of lean to them being there too, like someone above said. As Deb said, we need to see text. If one wrote, oh my God, I hear it going down, they were there. Okay, that sounds great, Cindy. But I have to go back to ask you, if you were inside your house and you had to text the other people in your house, you couldn't come out of your room. You telling me you would not call the police? How could you be in your room with something going down to where you can't come out your room and you texting other people, somebody else in the house, and neither one of y'all coming out of your room, and one of them claimed they saw an intruder, and neither one of y'all called the police. We had a fit when we called PCA.
Or run.
Or run. We heard we had a fit when we first read the PCA, and Dylan didn't call the police. Now we have to believe that 2 people didn't call the police, and I just think that's outrageous. Because
So yeah.
Just from personal experience of knowing, if I'm sitting in my house right now and I hear something, I don't call the law. I don't care. If it might not be much, but if I hear something that's not right, or definitely if I see somebody pass by one of my windows or one of my doors, I'm calling the law and I'm gonna get a weapon, And if they come inside my house, it's gonna be they're gonna have to take me down, because I'm gonna have something I can pull out. I got stuff laying around in the right places.
There you go. Yeah, but that's my point. Exactly. They go to every other door inside the house, but they don't open her door, and they don't open up Bethany's door.
No, I don't believe nobody was sitting in their house while their colleagues, they was just on the porch with taking pictures, or being unalive, and y'all texting each other. That's just I don't believe it. I don't believe it.
I wonder if the whole area knew this was all going to happen, not just only certain people.
Say what now?
I wonder if a lot more people knew this was going to happen, and that all those apartments in that area, all those little houses they have over there. I wonder if they all knew this was going down, because didn't JD live right across from them?
Right, that's what I said in my last video.
Yeah,
they knew something. They might not have known exactly what was going down. They didn't know exactly if it was going to happen for real. You know how people are. They hear in the street and something's supposed to happen, and people say, "Oh, ain't nothing going on. It's just a rumor and stuff." But so other people pay attention to it and say, "Hey, something really is going to happen." Especially people that's close to what's going on. Everybody's seen the note, and those girls are no exception. But another question I asked in the video that I posted today is, if everybody was hearing that something was going to go down that night, why did the Idaho 4 go home? Did they not know that it was going to go down at that house, or what?
I think that when they had to walk with, I think that was that JD they were walking with, because he was over at the corner club, and then I think he left with them or something. But I don't. It definitely wasn't JS, or maybe it was him that night, because I know after that he bolted off to Africa because he comes from a lot of money in his family, which still is strange why you would get out of Dodge right after that. That makes yourself even look more guilty. But I think when they were walking that night, And she said again, what did you say to Adam? I told Adam everything, and prior to that, he said they're going to get you for this. I don't think they realized it was going to happen that night. I just think it was just rumors, and some people don't take rumors seriously.
I think they.
So, like the element of surprise, like I said before.
I think Kaylee and them believed something was gonna happen, just not that night, because, like I said, the city was crowded. Look how many people were at the grub truck that time of morning, and so they probably didn't think it was gonna happen that night. But Kaylee definitely knew something was gonna happen, because that's why she was asking Maddie, "Hey, what are you doing?" I believe Kaylee was getting ready to get up out of there the next morning, probably, and she just didn't get a chance to do it.
Yeah, she shouldn't even came back in the first place. I mean, God rest her soul. But there's one of the psychic detectives. His name is Todd something. He's very accurate. He said that he saw 3 to 4 people, but they were hiding in a closet. And when they came home, then they ambushed them.
It's possible.
And one of them had long hair and a beard. One had bad body odor. And it was just, But when they did this, they took their time with torture and pain, and it didn't happen 1, 2, 3.
All right. Well,
that's what he said. These aren't my words. These are his words.
Right. I understand.
But if you go on YouTube, you look him up. You actually can find that what I just told you.
I mean, it's possible. It's possible that they were already in the house and had already unalive Ethan and Xana by the time Matt and Kaylee got there, or
right. So because Ethan he lived at the frat house, and he just happened to stay that night. And let's say if they already took them out first and their door was closed, they wouldn't really know what's going on. But I'm gonna tell you something right now. When that happens and that scene is still fresh, it's hard not to detect that smell.
Yeah, and that's another thing. You in your room texting somebody else in the house.
It's disgusting.
And then after it happens, you mean to tell me y'all both went to sleep? What? Nobody came out after the people left? You just went to sleep? I just don't believe it. Somebody's in your house and you text and you can't come out your room. You don't call the police, and then you just go to sleep, because I noticed the coroner, the police, everybody said that it smelled like hell, in literally.
Yeah, it smells like it's fresh blood. It's sticky. It's slippery. It smells like strong sulfur. And if you've never been around a scene like that, which I'm not going to go into details and something like that, I'm just going to say it is brutal. Most people will throw their brains up or pass out. And I'm not kidding. It's that bad.
They need to stop telling people that, because
I'm just telling you the truth, because that's how it goes.
Yeah, I know. It's not.
It's a very pungent odor.
Yeah. And
I can't even describe.
And I just cannot, for the life of me, stress, how illogical it would be for those girls to have been there. And then another reason
they weren't there
is because they would have been traumatized.
Oh yeah, anybody for life.
This just seemed like a big joke, almost not like a joke, but it's. I mean, 4 people lost their lives, and it's like the next week or 2 after Brian Kohlberger's arrest. I mean, 2 weeks after it happened, everybody was fine, getting tattoos, everything was gravy. I mean, if something like that happened to my colleagues, people that I live with, not just went to school, I live with, and I saw them like that, and I smell, even if I didn't see them, just the smell of the the odor and everything.
Yeah,
I was traumatized. I could not be able to. I couldn't come back from that for a while. They would have to sedate me.
I'm gonna say this real quick, and I'm gonna be real brief here. I'm not gonna go into detail, but one of my friends took his life in front of me, and I'm gonna tell you something right now. It's not what you see in the movies.
No, I hope I never have to experience that.
You don't ever want to see it. And the worst part it traumatized me I still think about it still to this day, but it's not what you see in the movies. Like when I growing up in New York, and I used to go to Madison Square Garden all the time for the big wrestling matches. And one time, someone came out of the garden, and something happened to their neck, and I think you know where I'm going to go with this. And all of a sudden, who the person that did this? The whole crowd parted parted it like it was the Red Sea, and that was it. But my point is, it's not what you see in the movies. It is a mess beyond a mess, and it is beyond traumatizing. It's brutal. Right. So what I'm saying is, you're making a point. If they really saw this go down, or they heard, I mean, just those blood-curdling screams and God knows what else, that would stay with you for the rest of your life. You'd actually have to see someone to get help.
And why didn't they try to record what they were hearing for evidence?
I don't know. I mean, I don't know if I would. I mean, in a situation like that, I would have went. I just wouldn't hide in my room. The best thing to do is either defend or run.
Yeah,
you run. I mean, as much as I hate to say it, you run.
All right, I want to stop here and give a shout out to Robin Latham for a $2 super chat. Love y'all and thank you for being here tonight. Yay, thank you, Robin. I think I got the hang of this now with this StreamYard. See if there it is. All right, thank you so much. We got some good conversation going here, and thank you to all the donors. Q's Bill, AF, thank you. I appreciate you so much, and I'm glad to see you in here, Robin. That's how I'm moderated, and let's see. I want to take this.
Here's Robin.
I had another one, but yeah. I really feel like if it would change everything to just stop and say they weren't there and we have to throw out DM's statement. And so the next thing I want to talk about, and hopefully you all, somebody will jump in here, is the timeline. Because if we can if we can prove that the timeline is not 4 to 420.
No, it's not. It's way before that.
Yeah. That puts us in a whole new realm as far as,
I think when Kaylee
happened.
Yeah, I think when Kaylee and Maddie arrived home around, I think they said 1:56, maybe 1:45. I think that's when that really took place. Well, I don't know if Xena really had. I mean, Xena had a DoorDash delivery, because if you look at that bag, it just doesn't make sense. The drink itself looked like it was sitting there for days, but I don't know, because the person that was supposed to deliver that DoorDash, she said that she got a call from a guy saying, "Hey, why did you leave the house? You need to get back there." And she called her supervisor, and she said, "I'm not going back there." She told me what was going on. And I don't know. That's a mystery. I think these took place way before that 4 o'clock time frame. I think this was around probably 2:30.
Yeah.
And I think it took maybe up to like an hour, because I think, forgive me for saying, and again, no disrespect to the families or the unalives, but I think this was torture.
Yeah, it was.
Now, and for them to watch it, that was the worst part.
Here's another comment that is really linked into what we're saying. It's from Deb Tudoro, and she said, "Why was the door open?" They said the door was open until around 8:30 in the morning. Now,
28 degrees outside. You don't feel that draft coming through that door. You would freeze.
Right. You in your room texting somebody.
Right.
And if the front door is open, it's the smell of, decomposition.
That's probably why they might have opened the door. Maybe to get get rid of the odor.
That's exactly.
But I'll tell you something right now. That doesn't work. It doesn't happen like that. You can't get rid of that unless you're professionally cleaned.
Right. And so,
that's probably why they opened the door, because they knew all this was going down.
My question is, who closed the door? Because they said it was open till about 8:30 in the morning, and I've gotten this account from more than one source, and so I'm wondering who closed the door.
See, I didn't know that. I thought the door was open the whole time.
Somebody
Yeah,
closed.
that's interesting. So someone was in the house, and someone definitely did close the door.
Somebody closed the door at about 8:30. The neighbors were saying they were passing by there, and I had the article in one of my videos, and they said it was wide open until about 8 or 8:30 that morning. And so from
Wow.
8:30 to 12, people knew, not just Dylan and Bethany, but other people knew what had happened by 8:30.
Of course, they knew
And so
this.
why on earth weren't the police called?
That's the mystery to the whole thing.
I don't get it. I don't get it.
Nope, it doesn't make it. It's 100% suspicious.
This is another good question, Carly Miles. So where were Dylan and Bethany? That's a great question, because I said from the beginning that somebody
They weren't there.
was going to end up telling Bethany, telling where she actually was during these crimes. I said that from the beginning, and I believe it's still going to happen, because if they weren't at the house, they had to be somewhere, and wherever they were, the people know that they're not telling the truth. And so
Right.
it's just a matter of time before they tell it.
But what's even more sick, is to know if this happened, you got the audacity to walk into that massacre bloodbath, okay?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you,
Yeah.
that I can't even begin to fathom what that scene looked like. I can't even imagine. But you're just sick, okay? I mean,
Right.
why? Oh my God, I couldn't even imagine.
Right.
From what they described,
yeah.
it looked like it was like a bloodbath. I mean, if that was really coming out of the house, if that was really blood, that would have been so bad beyond bad. I can't even begin. Like I said,
I think that
means they were pouring out of them. Yeah.
Right. And here's another reason I think it's disgusting to sit up here and say that these girls were in the house, is that I was hearing rumors that Ethan was like leaned up against the bedroom door with blocking it, but I don't believe that, because
Nope.
well, the PCA said that when he went in the house, they showed him this or that, and Xana was on the floor when he came to the room. But by then they might have moved Ethan out from the door. He might not have been completely passed away and was trying to get out of the room to get help. And so that's even more reason why I don't understand how you can tell me that his colleagues were in rooms in the house, and they wouldn't even help him. He could, maybe he could have lived. I don't know. But if he was at the door, he could have been trying to get out. He could have been trying
And
to
it's
get
a
out.
possibility. They claim that he was in the bathroom, and then he wanted to see what was going on. He heard ruckus or some kind of, and he left. And then I thought they said he was found in the hallway by the bathroom door. No, I could be wrong myself. I don't know.
I heard that Ethan and Xana, that Ethan or one of them was killed or unalive in the kitchen. I heard that too.
Yeah, and it's what I find to be so interesting is that they had both bodies inside their bedrooms when they were found. Supposedly, that's how the story goes. Because I think that Maddie and Kay were killed maybe upstairs, not in the bedroom, but when she was trying to run for her life or something like that. Because they said that the Maddie's bed was pushed up against the wall and trapped Kaylee. Well, that bed was so small versus the bed that Kaylee had in her room.
Okay,
so maybe
we got somebody on deck here. Cuse Bill is on deck. Hold on, let me put you on stage.
All right, here we go.
Okay, hold on. This is buffering. I got you, Cuse Bill.
It's starting to buffer, yeah.
Okay, hold on.
Here they come. Did it pop on yet? No, not yet.
It's coming. All right, Cuse Bill, can you hear us? Can you speak so we can hear you?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you make me out?
Yes, I can hear you. Hello, welcome, and thank you for joining the conversation.
All right. I got this thing to work here. I got this microphone figured out here. I have screwing around with settings on it. Is it too loud or is it okay?
No, you're cool, man.
Ah, good. Yeah. Well, glad to be talking to you too here.
All
Yeah,
right.
you too, brother. Yeah.
And,
You already know what I'm going to ask you about DM and Bethany being in the house. You know, I've been beating that horse for 2 or 3 days now.
well, you know, the thing is, the narrative is, was so ridiculous at the beginning. They said that Bethany wasn't there, and they said that Dylan was downstairs. And then next thing you know, we found out that Dylan supposedly was on the second. Her room was on the second floor instead of the first floor. And say the original narrative was they were both sleeping, and I don't know how anybody's going to be sleeping if they were there in that kind of noise. Of all these things going on, it's beyond me how they could even been there. And then
right.
on top of that, I think that Dylan, that statement from Dylan is just so ridiculous in my opinion.
Yeah.
To me, it's ridiculous. I
think it's ridiculous too.
It's crazy. It's just crazy. I mean, you have to be a fool to believe that, really,
Well, people believe
and I
it.
don't know if he was cold to say in that or what, I don't know if, they, set, if they scripted this or what. It's just, to me, it's just unbelievable.
Right. We got a comment here from H. Potter. If BF and DM were males, they would be in jail.
Yeah, you're right there. Yeah, that's true.
I think that, I mean, I wouldn't even tell somebody I was in the house when something like that happened. I wouldn't even tell nobody. If they asked me to say I was there, I'd say, I'm sorry, you're going to have to solve your own crime. I'm not being a witness. I wasn't there. I don't have a clue. And God bless you. Merry Christmas. That's what I would tell them. Because I wouldn't even want to be involved in nothing like this. I think that's crazy that the parents are letting them give these statements. I wouldn't give them nothing. I would get my child a lawyer and tell her, don't say a word.
Yeah.
Don't say a mumbling word.
And another thing is, the thing is about this 911, not calling 911. Now, it may be, but they were saying, well, they didn't have enough time to be saved. No big deal about calling 911. But these days, medics, rescue, the medics that come and save people. I mean, these people are amazing.
Yeah.
And it's possible if you had called 911, you have no idea. It's possible. It's always a possibility that at least one of them, maybe been able to be saved if somebody had jumped right on it. You never know.
Right.
They can take that with them for the rest of their lives. If they were there and didn't call 911, you can be saved. I mean, we watch all the time with all these people, ID channels and everything where they've been saved. Like I say,
right.
the paramedics. I mean, they can work miracles with things.
Right.
Save one of them, at least one of them, possibly.
Right.
I'm not sure if it was possible or not, but still, you look at something. They were called. They were just left for dead, and they end up surviving.
Yeah, and it's an insult to say that there were other people in the house, and EMTs could have come in there, like you said, and we don't know whether they could have survived or not. The coroner said they couldn't have survived that. Well, it depends on when you call the police. If the ambulance or the police could have got there, it's in the middle of it, then who's to say who wouldn't have made it? I think to tell us that somebody was there and they did nothing is disgusting. And I can't believe the parents are going along with this, because if you were there and you had your phone and my child is in the cemetery, you have to answer to me.
Yeah. And the thing is, these kids, those ages, phones attached to them 24/7. They're walking around with them in the street. They walk out in the road with them. and even looking where cars are going by where they got those phones in front of them all the time. And you can't, like, you got to tell me they have their phone anywhere nearby where they could call. You know, they couldn't call, I'm saying, you know?
And they're telling us they had their phones. It's just making it worse. It's just making it worse, making me angry because you're telling us they were in the house and they had phones when from day one y'all told us they were on the first floor asleep and they had no idea what was going on until they woke up the next day. Now you're telling us both of them were awake during this thing and both of them had a phone.
They got so many stories. I'm telling you, it's just full of stories that they started off with and they morphed into other stories, and you know, it just switched around all over the place. How can you believe these people? You know, how can they be believed?
And in the PCA it says Dylan said she heard Xana or somebody crying. And so you telling me she had her phone, she heard somebody crying, she heard somebody say, I'm here to help you, and she's texting Bethany?
Yeah, that don't make any sense.
Come on now.
Sorry.
Here's something we haven't really talked about, y'all. And I saw somebody in the comments say this, and I can't find it now. But somebody was talking about the possibility of Bethany and Dylan doing it. Here it is.
That's what I mentioned that before.
Okay.
When I said that if you don't have any evidence coming from the interior out to the exterior, then usually, it was an inside job. Because I'll tell you, that's what I was talking about in that picture when those four before that happened. That's a real creepy picture, especially looking at Dylan's look on her face. I mean, if that isn't masquerading, I don't know what is. Okay.
Yeah.
And when you wipe that mask off or take it off, and how many layers there are on that, that's a whole different situation. Maybe she had a side to her, and God knows what's her name, that could have done this entire thing themselves. I mean, hey, women are strong, okay? Yeah. And I tell us to all guys out there, don't underestimate a woman, because when they're in that state of mind, God knows what else they could have been on.
Right.
Your strength's through the roof, especially if they're on something really potent.
But wouldn't that be mind-blowing to find out that they did it? I mean,
actually, no.
I would
because sometimes
if I found out they did it.
What you least expect is really what is the truth.
Yeah, you got a point there. Sometimes it is it's not the usual suspect. But I just if they prove that those girls did it, I believe I would probably faint from the news. I could.
Well, I'll tell you, those are some strong girls. Number one, because to pull that off, unless they had maybe a third person in there, but anything is possible. They could have even assisted. They could have even helped them down. Okay,
now I talked about that in my video that I put out today. Now the thing about that is, I feel like if they helped, and if it was organized crime and they helped, they would have been in the ground too. The only way
that would be organized if they were helping. No way in hell, because they wouldn't want them there in the first place. Yeah.
But if it was their boyfriends or somebody that they knew, that's a whole different story. Now we got a big possibility because of the lack of blood on the front and back doors. I mean, most people that assault like that, they have on gloves. It's just the victim's blood, so they leave out the slide glass door, the front door. They're gonna leave something on the knob or whatever. There was nothing on those doors.
Well, that's what I'm saying. If you go back into the Manson murders, when they took out the LaBiana and Tate, there was blood everywhere. They wrote down blood on the walls. It was everywhere you could think of. Why wasn't that in that house? Because of the fact that the way that they described that scene, that just doesn't add up.
Right. I don't know. I was shocked when I looked at the crime scene photos, and when the front door was open, the policeman was standing in there, and there was nothing on the floor there.
Right.
Nothing on the door. Nothing but tape. That's all.
Right. So if you're tracking all that blood through, no matter where you're walking, you're gonna get blood on everything.
I just, and then what about the latent footprint?
Well, that's how I was mentioned before. They found that one footprint out of all that messy scene. There's only one footprint in that whole scene. It doesn't add up.
No.
Yeah,
And
that
then
really
they say
doesn't make any sense.
They say the FBI. They say the FBI. Okay, it's 10:56. So what I want to do is switch to Brian Kohlberger right quick.
Good.
I'm looking for I got too much open here. But
Okay, I'm gonna pop another bottle of vino. So let's get on to the next one.
you having a good time. You having a good time, man. All
Of
right.
course.
That's
Abundanza. There you go.
That's right.
All right.
Now we talked about Dim and Bethany. I want to get on Kohlberger, and
Right.
somebody was saying they had a problem with Brian's parents saying for in a nutshell that they don't seem to be supporting Brian through the trial. And I wonder if y'all agree with that. I'm gonna make a poll on that.
Well, what's also strange about the whole thing is supposedly when they were circling the house and then when they showed up and they picked him up, he was posing in the kitchen. I don't know if he really was wearing these gloves. There's no proof about that whatsoever. And they claimed he was taking other stuff and putting in the neighbor's garbage. There's no proof of that as well either. That still baffles me at the same time. As far as the parents supporting him, I think they are. I just think they're doing it in a more non-discreet way.
Right. Well, I think they did come to court one time.
Yeah.
But it's no use in them flying across the country.
Right, it's far and it's expensive too.
He's a grown man, and even though maybe it's not his fault he got himself in this mess, I think they believe it kind of is. That maybe he didn't do it, but that he was involved in something, some kind of way. He knows
that's
something.
A possibility. Yeah.
And so they're going to, like the mother said, we're going to wait and let the legal process take its course. Not because I believe my son did it, but
right.
Maybe he knows something or whatever.
And right.
Protecting a friend or protecting some people he can't tell on, maybe it could be any of those things. But I think the Kohlbergers, they showed me that they are good parents before this happened. Because, I mean, look at where Brian came from, running the street, doing dope, and to a PhD program. So they had to support that guy for him to even make it that way. He might not realize it was because his family supported him, but he couldn't have got from this to that without some serious support from his family.
Right.
So, and all they did was call the police on him one time for taking a phone. I mean, anybody else with a heroin addiction would have had a long arrest record, because every time he does something, the family would have put him in jail or they would have called somebody.
Yeah.
So I that's the first time we got 100% on the poll. That's the first time. That's the first time we got 100% on the poll. I think they are supporting him. Now, let me ask y'all this. Do you believe Brian Kohlberger knew Kopaka?
That I don't know. I don't know. There's suspicion that might be the case, but he's really been able to connect them completely. I mean, I know that they were close by in Pennsylvania to each other, but
right,
millions of people in Pennsylvania. So I don't know. I really wouldn't. I can't really say that for sure. That in my mind, that he would know, that he knew. But
they both have the same initials.
Yeah.
That is kind of weird, but yeah, that's a tough one to answer because I really don't know.
Well, they were living close by each other, and then they end up in the same vicinity. I mean, a mile away from each other. I mean, that's. And then
they might have saw each other here from time to time. But I don't think they really hung out or something.
Okay, and Brent had 2 roommates that were 20-year-old guys, and so we don't hear too much about them. But
nope,
to me, they could have known the girls.
Yeah, that's a possibility.
They could have known the girls. 20 years old, students at WSU, living with Brent. I think they're more likely to know the girls than Brent or Brian.
I think everybody knew these girls. I think these girls loved attention, but I mean, it could go lots of ways on this.
Right. We got another comment. Let's see. Do you think, this is H. Potter, do you think DM was in on the drug deals going on in the house? Remember, Ellie said the house was the target.
That's one of the things I think is that's the way he may have known some people in that house is for
Yeah.
that. I don't think he was there killing anybody, but I think that he could be over there scoring something, or with his history, he might have been over
Right.
there and he might have known about that drug house. So yeah, I think it's very very possible that he would have known somebody. For him to pull this thing off, I just can't see this guy being able to do that. 4 people, I don't know.
Yeah, that's what we were saying before. Ethan was a big guy. I mean, he could, he was really good in wrestling. I mean,
All right, here's a good comment. Carly Miles, immunity implies that they participated. Do you agree with that? If law enforcement gave them immunity.
Oh yeah. Yeah, they're definitely involved in this. Definitely, no questions asked on that.
Wow, 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 wow. Wow, wow, wow.
Because that's common. If somebody, and I'm going to be brief, I'm not going to go in detail, but like if somebody goes against someone that spills a lot of evidence or information and they make a deal, there you go.
And there definitely was a deal, because there's no reason for either of them to be giving statements like this or agreeing that they were in that house and they were doing all these things unless they made a deal.
Exactly.
And why would they need to make a deal if they were, if they weren't involved? Why would they need to just say, "Hey, I wasn't there," or "Hey, I was"?
That just shows you how corrupt the law enforcement really is over there.
That's crazy. How can they give?
So they're going to let these people just go free when they could have been participants or knew this was going down, or whatever the case may be? I mean, come on.
All right, here's another good point on that. If they were not involved, they would be in protective custody. That's possible too.
It's possible, and that's where they could be right now.
Yep, you're right. Well, Bethany went home to Nevada, but do we know?
Supposing that's what they say, but that doesn't mean it's true.
You're right now. You're right about that. That's a good point.
They probably said that to maybe throw people off, but they might have them some other place where they have watch on them 24/7.
Right. Well, I know that Brian he really was trying hard to push his career, and people were saying that he was hired by the Pullman Police Department. Why would he throw all that away? Why would he throw away?
Just because you have a neighbor or something like that that's not very communicative or social does not make them this type of a person. You can't judge a book by its cover.
True, and also
remember his neighbor said, Billy goes, well, he was a little weird. He didn't really talk much, but that doesn't make him a bad guy.
Right.
I don't like talking to many people either because they cast their polls out and they fish for too much information today. So I'm discreet as possible, even on here. But it's just I mean, a lot of people are they're nosy, and you can't say, oh, well, they don't talk or something like that. They're weird. I mean, you can't judge someone like that. That's not right.
Well, only thing I know is Brian got himself in a lot of trouble, and he better tread lightly because it's a lot of innocent people in prison. And if they even can just if they can push that narrative long enough, somebody will vote him for the death penalty. People think it's a game, but people go to death row for real.
Yeah, it's taking like 10 years, but yeah. And in his case, it won't even last that long. Because he already had problems with someone in county, and lots of county in that jail, people were already threatening his life. Can you imagine if he got into if he goes into death row? He's man.
Yeah, they already got somebody on death row in Idaho that killed somebody right there in the prison. Another inmate. They already got one person on death row right now that has already taken the life of another inmate while he was in there.
And this is 4 people, not 1. Yeah.
You know, so he don't want to go to death row. And somebody was saying that he's gonna take a plea deal so that he can appeal. I don't even know if you can appeal if you take a plea deal. Sometimes one of the stipulations of the plea deal is that you can't appeal.
Yeah,
You know?
it's not a good situation. I can tell you that much.
Hey, Denny, good to see you. Could immunity be from lying to police? Yes, it could, because they won't let us hear the 911 call. They won't even tell us who called.
Well, that's what we were just saying, that if they really knew this and they really told them the truth, I mean, but because they were involved, that's maybe why they struck a deal. I don't know, maybe because, who knows, because they're girls, I don't know, or who knows, or maybe because of Bethany's family, she comes from money or something, maybe that was involved, who knows.
I know Bethany does. I don't know about Dylan, but I know Bethany come from some serious money.
Wasn't Dylan, they claim that she was a transgender, or?
Yeah, I don't know if she is or not. I know she's tall, and people are gonna say that. I don't know whether she is or not, but
I don't know either. That's, to me, that's just hearsay.
Well,
here's another thing.
Yeah.
Here's another thing. And you know, I'm not trying to put anybody down at all. It's just a fact. Is very strange about how like three of the surviving families and one of the surviving families and three of the others. There has been many brushes with the law with these families.
Yes.
All over the place.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, not this. I'm not putting anybody down, but it's just out there, and it's just strange that, you know, people have been involved with drug arrests and everything else there. Xana's family, you know, and like I say, I'm not putting them down. I'm just saying.
Right. You know, I understand what you're saying.
But like for her mom, for instance, right?
Her mom.
Xana's mom was in got in a lot of trouble with drugs.
Yeah, and
she was arrested or going in or something, and who knows who knows? I mean, anything's possible.
Yeah. Xana's mom, she was arrested like twice in January.
Yeah.
And you know, I hate to say it, but I think the parents being involved in these types of things, the reason why the girls were so comfortable with living in a house like that. Because I personally, when I went to college, there's no way in the world my parents would let me live in a house with all that going on. And I wouldn't feel comfortable there. I would have to be in a dorm or apartment, you know, with maybe two other people. But with all that going on, I would have moved out as soon as they had the first party. I would have out of there.
Yeah, I'm the same way. My mother would have had a 24/7 around the clock living priest. Seriously.
Yeah.
Because it's true though. You make a good point. Because you're asking for trouble in that situation every day.
Yeah, every day. And so many people.
If what goes down, you're there. You're going down with it.
Look at how the police body cam showed that the house was full of people. Hunter was answering the door, and nobody that lived there was even in the house.
But that was weird that one night, because the guy goes, "Well, who lives here?" He goes, "I don't know who lives here. We just came. I couldn't
live there." But the reason why they were able to live there is because, you know, evidently they were no stranger to, you know, drugs and drinking and stuff in that environment. And like you said, it's not to put the parents down, because when these kids go to college, they do whatever they want to do. And so you can't tell them nothing. You can't tell them anything. So I'm not blaming the parents. I'm just saying, if you have that kind of environment in your home where you got a lot of alcohol and drugs and people over all the time, some people live like that. They grew up in that environment. But I wouldn't have felt comfortable living at 1122. Once I got there and saw how I was, I would have told my parents, I got to move.
Yeah.
I would have told my parents I have to move. And then Xana's father came down and changed the locks. I don't know how much of those Twitch videos and stuff he was seeing with all this partying and stuff, but seemed to me like, I mean, I would have just told him, look, you're gonna have to find you somewhere else. You know, don't worry
It's
about.
so weird. When you add up the 1122, it comes out to 6. Well, there was 6 people in that house.
Yeah. Now the numerology, now that's a whole nother conversation.
Yeah, I know.
There's so much numerology.
Yeah.
Maybe y'all can bring up some good points
Yeah.
like that one, because the numbers 1, 2, and 3 are prevalent.
Yeah, they are.
Wow. You know, it's prevalent. You know, you had 3 girls, 3 victims. You know, 1 and 2 is 3. And so Ethan was supposed, you know, Ethan didn't live there.
He wasn't supposed to be there. No.
Right. Ethan wasn't supposed to be there. So when you think about 3 girls, 1 plus 2 is 3.
Yep.
And then, I mean, did you know that the house was actually lived in by the president of the university?
I heard something about that.
He used to live there.
That's weird.
He used to live there coming up. And that, to me, it just almost like cultish. Almost like something out of a movie.
Well, that was mentioned too about that, some kind of cult or something with the church or something, or I don't know the whole scenario.
Right. Yeah, there's the next question. What about ritual? We talked about organized crime. We talked about law enforcement. But what about a ritual? And the snuff film will fit into that. What about ritual? The way they did those kids, you know, it was overkill.
But why? But that's the thing. If this had nothing to do with the drugs, let's say if it was ritual, why was it ritual?
Well, if it was ritual for, like, say, a satanic ritual or something, what called for sacrifice,
like an altar of sacrifice, yeah.
We did a segment on that where the bishop over there in Idaho, he had a snuff film in his house when they arrested him, and he was talking about doing things to toddlers and babies and stuff. I mean,
oh wow. I remember. I didn't hear that. Wow.
Yeah, he was retired priest, and when they arrested him, they found so much stuff in his house in Idaho.
I can imagine.
You know, the Satanic Temple is very prevalent in Idaho. You know, they fighting for abortion and arguments and everything in Idaho, and they had they had an event. The Satanic Temple had an event in Coeur d'Alene where Kaylee and Maddie are from. It's very close to them. So ritual is high on my list too, because I feel like the way that they did those kids, how bloody it was and stuff, the fact that they didn't use guns, that you know, like they wanted to do it the way they did it, and so I think that that's possible. And then people were saying Christchurch, the guy done like women, you know, having a boyfriend without being married, and the way the girls were there drinking and stuff. They were saying Christchurch didn't want them there. They wanted the house shut down. You know, we investigated all of that. And I still end up coming back for some reason to organized crime. I feel like that was a drug house. What'd you say, Q Bill?
Yeah, I think so. You know, I'm leaning in that direction. I mean, I think the college, the university, and the town would not want that all out in the open. I think
that's what we're talking about, the NDA.
Yeah, I believe that they don't want that information out there. It's going to put a black mark on the area, and you know, it's going to shy people away from going to the college. All that kind of stuff. If that gets out, you know, they want that silenced, I believe.
Yeah, they're trying to tear the house down so the jury can walk through there and find out that you can hear absolutely everything.
You're not kidding. That's exactly why they want to take that house down as fast as they can. They can. I think that's ripping it down with bulldozers or whatever, because they want it gone. They don't want anybody else going in there looking around to try to find any way to you know, to trip up this narrative that they have going. You know.
Right. I think if the jury walked through there, that's an old home. They would have hardwood floors. They would have found out that regardless of where DM and Bethany were in the house, they would have heard everything.
That's right.
Exactly. Like you could you know the unrested souls are there, so you would definitely sense things. Yeah, I agree with that 100%.
Yeah, they would have went in there and remember when Wayne Williams was on trial for the Atlanta child murders?
Yeah, all those murders. Yeah.
They took the jury out the bridge. Remember, they took the
Yeah.
jury out to the bridge, and they were like, "Well, he couldn't have thrown somebody over this bridge." But when they took the jury out there, they interviewed a juror, and they said, "Well, I could have thrown somebody over that because the thing, I don't know what you call it, the rail, it wasn't that high." So I just feel like, you know, we need to talk about some other cases because there's some other good cases out there, historical, you know, that would give us insight about this one. And Wayne Williams, I would love to talk about that case because I'm telling you, I've read and watched so many different things, and that's one I might make a video on that so we can have a separate live on that one day. But but I think the jury walking through there would have seen a lot of things, not just first of all, they would have seen that it was a party house, cups everywhere, red cups everywhere. You know, I think we know that it's a drug house, and that's another reason I keep going back to organized crime. They were selling dope out of there. You don't need to look out in the window for selling shots.
Yeah.
You don't need to look out in the window when the police walking up to sell shots. And the police are not going to be there taking pictures of people's license for selling alcohol or shots. You see, it had to be more than that.
Yeah, they never had any search warrants for that house either.
Never. They never went inside. Body cams. I never seen the police actually go in the house. I just seen them pouring out people's alcohol, which I don't understand. I mean, they're college kids. That's what they do. You know, I would have been mad.
Yeah.
Here's another comment. Cindy Abbott. I also heard BK very perfectionist and OCD. Student said he graded too hard. I have trouble seeing such a person committing such a sloppy, mistake-ridden crime. Okay, I really can feel you on that, Cindy, because Brian is like a perfectionist, and also I think the students are just more witnesses. They got up there and they said all this stuff about him, but I saw problems with the professor. I did a segment on that where the students were saying that he was just telling stories about his old cases. He wasn't really teaching them and stuff, and it wasn't a very good course. So if him and Brian were arguing, 9 times out of 10, Brian was calling him out on his stuff. And I believe that, you know, they got mad at me for this too, for saying the professor could have turned Brian in and been in on putting him in, because we keep trying to figure out how they got Brian Kohlberger in the first place. Well, his professor had problems with him. He might have felt threatened by him. You know, I would suspect him more than the police. I mean, I would suspect him more than other policemen being threatened that he might get the police job. I would suspect the professor and the other people at WSU that didn't like him, I would suspect them more. Okay, and then they claim they found his car right there in front of the apartment, WSU police. I believe WSU has something to do with Brian becoming a suspect.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
I think aside from him going to Moscow buying drugs, it could have been, you know, they got together at WSU and said, hey, he's a good suspect. He looks weird. He acts weird. You know, he doesn't have a girlfriend that we know of. You know, he's got a drug history. God only knows what they dug up on him. So, what, you know, let him be our poster boy.
Yeah, right there.
I just feel like that's a possibility. Mm-hmm. Now, another thing is, we know that Kaylee was going to Pullman because she signed her name on the campus.
Yep.
So she had been over there, and I think Bethany got caught driving over there. So I mean, WSU was hot too.
Yeah,
only 15 minutes. It was only a 15-minute ride. That was it.
Right. It's almost the same place. It's almost the same place. Right. These
Not
are
even
great points.
10
Great.
miles, yeah.
I'm sure they shared parties between each other's campus, everything else. People get, kids, they get wind of it. Oh, we got a party over in WSU.
Yeah.
Let's go out there,
That's
and vice versa. They're all over.
We got a lot of people at WSU that are leaking information.
That's what college kids do. You know what I mean?
We got a lot of people from Pullman talking.
Well, that one mom, that Kim from WSU, she's been on a lot of those different podcasts on TikTok, and she said that this all has to do with a certain family and a certain person where they kind of run the whole area, you want to call it. And this is why this all gone down. A lot of it had to do with the drugs and the talking and the money and stuff like that. And she asked her daughter that, yeah. She said her daughter knew something like this she heard was going down, but she didn't want to say anything. So it hasn't been confirmed, but I don't know.
Yeah, organized crime. Because whoever did this and got the police covering it up and delaying the 911 call and all this stuff, they had to have power. So, just some penny ante, somebody like Brian Koberger, he didn't have the power to do something like this and have the time to clean it up and everything like that. He would have had to get out of Dodge as soon as he did it. And so
there's no way cleaned it. The only one that cleaned it up was probably professionals. And if this was cleaned up, it was probably cleaned up at nighttime when nobody would really be paying attention to it, probably after it was boarded up. Because I know that they didn't do that. You got to be a professional, really clean that place up, and you got to know the ins and outs how to do it.
So are you saying that the cleanup was after the police were called?
So I'm wondering.
Now that's interesting because I'm thinking, I think we all would
you
think.
Couldn't. I mean, those people get paid a lot of money to do that for a living. And they see the worst of the worst. And it takes like 6 to 8 people, a team or a crew to clean these scenes up. It's a lot of work.
Right.
And you got to have a high tolerance, big time. And yeah, it's a lot of work. I just don't believe that these people did this. You got to be professional to clean this scene. I just don't buy it.
Okay, you know who they said owns the cleaning company that went in and cleaned it up?
Right. That's what I was leaning towards. But that was after the police, yeah.
Now, that's the first time I've heard this. And, that's something to think about. Let me write that down.
Yeah, because it makes sense. Because there's no way, and I know he was good in law and all that. It's almost like a Ted Bundy scenario, but Ted Bundy basically represented himself, and Brian Colbert has Ann Taylor. So if he was that smart, he wouldn't even need counsel. But the thing is, yeah, I mean,
that's another good
Ted Bundy never cleaned up his scenes because he wanted people to see it. But I don't believe none of those kids that came in that house and did that. I believe it was a professional clean crew that did this.
What you say about that, Q's Bill? What you think about them cleaning up the scene after the police were called instead of the people that came in and did the crime cleaning up before they leave?
Yeah, I think they were getting rid of drugs. That's what I think.
Well, he's right about that because, like I say, the time that would be spent to do that, all the blood and everything, all the stuff that you would have to go through in detail, you'd have to be prepared ahead of time for it, or it would take you a really long time. Yeah. It's possible. I believe it seems.
What about Jack Showalter's family owning the cleaning company?
Yeah, I forgot about that. That's a strong point. But did his family were they the ones that part of the cleaning crew that cleaned that up? That cleaned that up?
They're saying that Jack Showalter's family owns the cleaning company that went in the house and cleaned it.
Really?
No joke.
Huh.
No joke.
That I didn't know.
Now for you to say, you put an idea in my mind here, because all this time I've been imagining the intruders doing the cleanup.
No way. No, they wouldn't do that. No way. Like Bill said, there would be so much time that it would take to do all that professionally with lots and lots of experience.
Wow, y'all just gave me a whole another string.
And also, that didn't Jack supposedly fled off to Africa or something.
That's what they say. That's
Well,
what they
think
say.
about it. You come from money, money talks, okay? So if they're willing to volunteer to do this, that's kind of strange. And then right after this happens, Mr. Wonderful gets out of Dodge City and goes across the world.
Yeah, that's very.
I'm not saying he had anything to do with it,
Well,
but he could have knew.
I think that's crazy that maybe this the only cleaning. Is that the only cleaning company in town that could?
I was just going to ask you: is that the only cleaning company in the entire area that does this professionally?
Let me write this down. I'm gonna find out.
You should probably do some research on that. That'd be a good, thing. Because if there's no one out there, that's very strange.
Yeah, let me write that down. The cleaning company. How many are there? Because Moscow, I mean, not that big of a town, but if they had more than one cleaning company, but they chose to go with Jack Showalter's family business, God only knows what all those people own. That's
exactly.
That's strange.
Yeah.
And then when they cleaned up, they saw a lot of stuff.
Oh yeah.
And I'm waiting for them to leak something because
they could have also taken a lot of stuff.
Yeah. Well, they were giving the family their belongings early. People were complaining, saying, "How could they be giving the victims' belongings this early?"
Well, I thought that was kind of strange too. I thought it was as well. They never showed any. Forgive me for saying, they never showed any of the bodies actually being taken out of the house. I thought that was really strange.
Yeah. Well,
because I've been near crime scenes before, and I'll tell you, when they come out, they're in a sheet. It's not a pleasant scene, and it happens pretty quick. They don't wait till the next day to start taking bodies out. Okay, it happens that same night or day.
When were the bodies removed?
It didn't happen that day. I don't think it did, because they never showed that ever happened before, unless it was like the next day, which still would be strange. It wouldn't make any sense.
Well, the coroner didn't get there until what?
Which is really bizarre. And then she couldn't do the autopsy. They had to send these things off to Texas, which made no sense. So yeah, there's something not right in that timeline as well, because those bodies should have been physically actually removed the same day. What?
I don't know when they took them out.
They claim that something about they put some kind of I think a truck to maybe block it or something, or like a U-Haul truck or some kind of a tent or something.
Yeah, there's a picture of it. I need to find it where the whole front door was enclosed.
Yeah, it's just bizarre. I'm like, usually they would show it even on the news, like the bodies, because every time you see, I mean, and I think Bill, you can attest, you see on the news they show bodies coming out. Like, that those clips do, they do show up from time to time. I just thought that because it was so very rare and so significant in that area for something like that to happen, which never really does, you would think they would just show that. I just think that is something that would be so critical.
Yeah, but you have to think about this too.
They showed bodies brought out, I remember. Yeah.
It's a university town.
Yeah, that's true. I forgot about that. Yeah, so they want to keep their reputation.
You don't want to see that, you don't want.
I know. Well, that's what they have sheets for. Yeah.
You don't want to show people to see that. It's bad enough,
Or bags, yeah. I just thought that was strange, though. I don't know. I just thought there was no pictures of them actually. I just thought that was weird.
I saw the truck enclosed in the front door, and I just assumed that's when they took them out. And I really think they shouldn't have shown them, because I think that would have been tasteless to just bring them out of there any kind of way and put them in an ambulance. I think that just would have been tasteless.
Makes sense. You're saying that you think that they put them in that U-Haul truck?
This I don't know if it was. I know that the truck was backed up, and then there was like a thing that stretches out, something like you can fold it up, and they stretched it out to the front door, and you could not see the front door because it was enclosed. I'm gonna find the picture and I'll put it in a video where y'all can see.
Well, it was boarded up, yeah.
But this was a white truck, and it had the two, not curtains, but something like a sliding doors that you could slide through the door and hide everything to where you couldn't see them going in and out of the door.
Interesting.
But I don't know. Well, you can see Santa's mattress. You can see a few things that they took out, but they really kept that part under wraps after a while.
There's a reason for that too. Yeah.
They didn't want you to see any of it.
Yeah, because what they're saying is not truthful. That's why.
Now, speaking of conspiracy theories, somebody was saying that WSU is behind this because WSU and University of Idaho are in competition for students. But then I said, well, why is a WSU TA on trial for doing it? Because the U of I picked Brian to get back at WSU, because the schools are in competition for money, for students. I just don't know. I don't know.
Like I said, there's so many different stories. Like even Bill said, there's so many different. You don't know which way to turn.
True, because like I say, when before in the beginning when Brian,
yeah, I mean it's a mystery. It really is, and this may never be solved. Who knows?
Now this is something.
Yeah,
this is
almost like Jack the Ripper if you think about it.
That was my first thought. My first thought when I heard about this was that some serial killer had gotten out of prison, and that was the closest little small town, or just he escaped from somewhere, or he had been released because they let people out that done killed somebody, and he was bloodthirsty, and that was my first thought. Looking around for somebody that had just gotten out of prison, I couldn't find anybody. And then they were talking about the car that was wrecked in Oregon. Remember that?
Yeah, that was another white Hyundai Elantra that was abandoned. They found,
and they had us on this race,
which was kind of strange because they didn't really pursue that.
It was just garbage. It was just the white car. Even Papa Rogers said that the white car was a red herring.
Right. And usually, if it's something related to a cult or something like that, they usually leave like a symbol or a marking or a message behind. But I don't know, unless that really was there, then they're not saying.
Right. Well, my thing is, why would anybody in their right mind drive their own car to a crime scene?
They wouldn't.
Yeah.
Brian Koberger supposed to be that dumb that he drove his only car to a crime scene in another city, and he's not even from that area.
That's why they didn't find any evidence in his car, no blood, nothing like that. Because guess what? He never was there.
He wasn't. I feel like this. There's always evidence when somebody does something, and we would have seen a picture of him in Moscow. We would have had somebody say they seen him at the house at a party, or we'd have seen a picture of him in the background at one of those events at Moscow if he was over there. And we don't have that. We don't have him at the memorial. We don't have him anywhere. We don't have him at the what do you call it? The visual. We don't have him anywhere on camera. Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
I mean, for his case, that's a good thing, but
was he trying to stay off the camera? No. I mean, it's impossible not to leave any evidence at all. And you've been to that city, I can't see it.
I actually personally do not. I even have a question about how they claim that his phone was offline during that time. I hate to say it, but I believe that story.
A lot of people don't.
That it was, and the phone pings. They had a phone ping from Pullman on his
right.
Also, so they're not that far away. They're the distance between those. Phone can ping different towers all in that area. There, it's not like it's 100 miles away or something. Yeah. So So even the phone pings, they don't really jive with them. There's nothing they don't prove anything. They don't really have. Overall, they do not have a lot at all.
Now, when you think about it, the trip that they say he took, according to the phone pings, Blaine, Uniontown, and back to Pullman, you know, if you time it, he didn't have enough time to do that. He didn't have enough time unless he sped through every red light and never stopped for gas or to use the bathroom. If you time the distance and the time it takes from the time they said he was somewhere near Blaine, and you go around the little circle, because Dr. Thrifty was doing a lot of videos on that before he was taken down, and then I think he's back up. I don't know, but
Oh,
he
geez.
was saying that he stopped at Kopaka's parents' house. If the phone pings are accurate, he didn't have time to stop anywhere at all.
Yeah.
If you time it, to be back in Pullman by 5 something in the morning, and then they can't show his car anywhere on that route except for coming back in the Pullman. And
Well, it's just like, yeah, it's like that gas station where that lady, the lady was working. She said she saw this white car coming past pretty fast, and they made a right turn. Well, if you had that on camera, the cops, they actually have the technology, they could actually zoom into that and see who the hell was driving that car.
Right.
And again, that wasn't even mentioned, anything like that whatsoever.
And that was not a Hyundai Elantra either.
No, it wasn't.
And
Because, yeah.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, Brian's car did not have a sunroof. The car that they showed on, I think on video had a sunroof.
Or a tent.
Right.
Because most of these cars have a tent that they say
right.
is a car.
Right, but his didn't have a sunroof. I know that.
Well, I just feel like he didn't have enough time to make that drive. And I know Hyundai stopped putting the blue box in the 2015 Elantra.
Right.
They didn't have GPS on him. If the only thing they have to go on is the phone ping. And I mean, that's a heck of a coincidence. It seemed like divine intervention. A lot of things are helping Brian that he has no control over, like his dad being in the car when they stopped him in Indiana. Because I believe when they stopped him, if his dad would have been in the car, they would have impounded that car, planted some stuff in it, gave him some traffic tickets, and let him go on his own recognizance where he got to come back to court. I believe that's what would have happened.
Yeah, that's a good point.
I believe that was divine intervention that his dad was in the car. They were probably a little shocked, and I think the reason he got stopped twice is because the first cop called in when he got in his car and was like, hey, his dad is with him. What? And they were like, well, go ahead with it, And the second cop pulled him over, and then he thought better of it. I don't blame him because I wouldn't have been involved in nothing like that either. If Brian was by himself, they might have participated. But what could they do with his dad in the car?
Nothing really. Yeah.
Nothing but get a lawsuit. That's all they could have got. So I think the Angels were with him on that one. And then Drip Drop was saying that this was 7 hours after Kopaka was swatted, that Brian was pulled over in Indiana. And so all of a sudden they're acting like Brian is fleeing and they need to get with him. And this seems to be the first time that we really see them pursuing Brian as a suspect. It was after Kopaka was swatted. So we can't even take him off the table.
Yeah, and it's really strange that the prosecution has no evidence to show forth for him whatsoever.
Now, here's the big question. If that's true, then why is there a need for Ann Taylor and Brian Kohberger to waive the speedy trial? I had a problem with that.
Yeah.
I got a problem with that. I got a problem with him not just saying not guilty, letting the judge say it for him and all that right there, unless there's some reason that I don't know about. I got a problem with him waiving the speedy trial and being fine with sitting there for an indefinite amount of time, somebody that's supposedly not used to being in jail. Because I know people that never been to jail or he been to jail or whatever. Or
stand in silence. Yeah.
But that during that kind of time, 6 months, the first delay was 6 months.
Yeah.
He was all right with that. And when we saw him, he didn't seem perturbed. He didn't look like he was just coming down off some sedative or nothing. He looked like he was just there for the party. I had a problem with that.
Yeah.
First thing I said when I saw his picture when they said they arrested him when he had on that green vest, the first thing I said was he looks mighty calm. Was he smoking weed when they arrested him? Because he was mighty calm.
Yeah.
I
Agree.
I have a problem with that. I don't believe all this about him putting trash in Ziploc bags and stuff. But they
No,
said
I don't. That's what I'm saying. I don't believe that either. No.
I don't believe that. I don't believe
Nope.
it. I don't even know if they got his daddy's DNA out of the trash.
Well, that makes no sense right there. I'm glad you brought that up about the K-bar with the sheath. Just because his father's DNA is on the sheath does not mean that he's guilty. It has nothing to do with him.
I don't believe that.
How
Brian,
that DNA?
I don't believe that anybody can leave just one speck of touch DNA on something.
Right.
Even see it until they had to send it to a third party, and then suddenly they find a trace of a speck of DNA on it after it goes to something.
To Texas or something, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
That made no sense. They could have done it right there in Idaho itself.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah.
I didn't hear what you said, Cuse Bill.
I said the fact that they had to send that out to a third party lab or something.
Right.
Suddenly they got a speck of his DNA on there. I don't believe that.
Right.
I'm sorry. I just it's just me. But I just
right, because Howard Bloom said that when they sent it to the Idaho State Lab, there was nothing on it.
Yeah, then they supposedly sent it to somebody else with more sophisticated equipment to be able to.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just don't believe it.
All right. What do you think about the 3 unknown DNA?
Yeah.
That's a thing. Well, that might be the reason why they even had to delay. You're talking about Ann Taylor delaying is because the prosecution is delaying getting all these different items to the defense. They're stonewalling, and that one guy, what was the prosecutor there? He said, "Oh well, we don't have any. There's no other DNA or something like that." He said when they already said there were 3 other people's DNA.
Right.
And he made that statement that there was nothing more that they had to give them. Well, yeah, there was. There was more.
There was more. And then Nancy Grace was trying to downplay it. And I'm gonna be honest with you, Nancy Grace is a good investigative reporter. She is, but she's selling out a lot, like a lot of the rest of them. And she made some good points. She said that Brian Kohlberger's DNA should be on all the victims.
Yeah. Every one of them.
And I agree.
There's not one speck of DNA on any of those victims from him.
And she made a great point. She didn't mean to make the point in his favor. She was trying to bash him. But she said something early on that really struck home with me. Is that all of them should both of those rooms should have had his DNA, and all the victims should have had his. If he interacted with them to commit this crime, how is it? Even if he had on gloves, because Jim said he had on a mask that covered his nose and his mouth. Why isn't any of his hair? And even if he had on a hat, his skin cells, his whole body wasn't covered.
All that moving around, all that swinging, opposing motions, whatever weapon he used, there'd be DNA everywhere.
And this also speaks to me, organized crime. The fact that there was no DNA on the victims, because an amateur couldn't have pulled that off.
Nope.
An amateur couldn't have pulled that off. No DNA on any of the victims. And whose DNA are the 3? One of y'all said something about somebody was in the closet with a beard. Yeah,
I said that. Yeah, basically there was that person claimed that there was 3 guys hiding in the closet. One of them had a beard, kind of like long hair, and there was one guy at the grub truck that pretty much look like that description that he described. And they said that that was what he mentioned, that there was 3 of them hiding in the closet and they ambushed them.
Well, maybe it's his DNA, but they act like they don't want us to know whose DNA it is.
Exactly.
Unknown DNA in the United States, you can find out whose DNA that is.
Oh, of course you can, but they don't want to do it, or unless they know, they don't want to say.
They know. But they probably can't say, because when you think about it, they don't have a choice but to cover it up if it's organized crime because so many people connected to them that work at that school. You know, you got so
Yeah,
many
because if
people
people talk,
they
people
can't,
talk on that campus. Yeah,
yeah, they don't have a choice but to cover this up because
yeah,
if people in power did it, they do business with some people at that college. Could be the president for all we know. And so
Yep.
what can they do but cover it up if it was organized crime? If it was just somebody like Brian that did it, they wouldn't have to be trying to cover anything up. They would just straight prosecute him.
Yeah, the
Yep.
sororities and the frats. Also, you got to remember, they have vowed to silence. They're not supposed to call law enforcement for anything. They're supposed to contact each other. That may be the reason delay in the morning for not calling 911 or not doing anything, is because strict instructions to contact the heads of the sorority or the fraternity before calling any kind of law enforcement in any of this stuff.
Right.
It's a code that they have.
Okay, I'm gonna put another poll. I'm gonna put one more poll up here. I would like to know: do you believe that Brian Koberger can get a fair jury?
No.
Does he need to go to another venue outside of Moscow? Would that do any good?
Yes,
Okay,
because they're all gonna be pro for the law enforcement and for the university itself. Yes,
True.
I think so.
Local. Yeah, you're right.
What about,
Yeah.
you know, they can move it. Can they move it out of the state of Idaho?
I don't know about that. That's a good question.
Because maybe if they move it out of Idaho, they can get a fair.
Yeah, but here's the thing: if they do that, those jurors are going to want to visit that house.
You're right. And somebody said swab DNA from all. Well, they say Jet S did not. Mr. G said that Jet S did not take DNA tests
Because he was in Africa.
They had a mobile DNA set up taking people's DNA when it first happened, and Mr. G said that they cleared some people too fast, and he said that Jet S did not take a DNA test at all.
Yeah, he bolted out of town.
That's kind of shocking to me.
Yeah, his family got him on a plane and he fled up to Africa or something. But that's what they claim.
Yeah.
Well, if you went there, I don't think that they can extradite.
They can't.
South Africa.
I think that's why he did it. It's probably because of that. So if that's the case, he definitely knows something.
Yeah, he knows. And what about Hunter Johnson?
Well, there's another one right there. Because if you remember right,
everything.
When the cops came to the house that day, and Kaylee looked out the window first, and then he came out first, and then she came out after him, and he was sitting down on the chair.
Right. Yeah, like he was dating somebody out of that house.
Yeah, he might have been. I don't know. But wasn't he the one of the first ones that those girls supposedly called over in the morning? He came over?
Say that again now.
Wasn't he one of the first people that came over in the morning? Supposedly when they called the 911, he came over to the scene. I thought he was one of the first ones there on the scene.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah. What a coincidence, huh?
Some people are saying he's the one that called 911.
That's what they claim too. I heard about that as well.
Yeah, they're saying.
But I'm not sure.
Yeah, that's a rumor. They say Hunter is the one that called 911, and I believe it because he's there all the time. He was there all the time, and he knew was he Ethan's best friend? Are they saying that? Because somebody told me he was gay.
I thought they were good friends, but I'm curious. I would love to hear that 911 call, and also I would like to know the state of the mind that person was in when they made that call.
Me too. You and me both.
Because that would say a lot right there. If that was a calm 911 call, there's something not right.
Well,
if they were panicking and freaking out, that I would be.
No, it was a calm call because they said it was an unconscious person. So
that makes no sense. Yeah.
It had to be calm. For you
unconscious person. Wow.
And 4 people in there laying up in there. And
laying up there, they were actually mutilated and massacred, and you remain calm? I couldn't do that. There's no way.
Well, they had to be calm to tell the police that it was an unconscious person. Then they tried to clean it up and say the dispatcher just classified it as that.
Right, which makes no sense because I'd never heard of that in my life.
That's no excuse. Because if they call and they said exactly what happened, there would have been some record of it. And maybe there was. Maybe they just telling us that. Because unconscious person. And so we're back again at DM and Bethany. Y'all in there texting. The house smells like a bloodbath.
Yep.
You know, the front door was hanging open. And when the police are finally called, it's just an unconscious person. You was frozen in shock phase, but the 911 call, it's just somebody here passed out drunk.
Nope, nobody was frozen because they weren't there.
That's scary to me. That's scary to me that my kid is in there, in the room, passed away. You call the police and it's an unconscious person?
Well, that's what I'm saying. It makes no sense.
They would have it. I would let them have it. They would have to sedate me.
Yeah, that's what I mean. That's exactly it. How could you keep yourself calm in the state? Like you couldn't. I couldn't. There's no way. You're frantic. You're in shock. You're traumatized, but at the same time, you know what you're able to make that call, and you're going to tell them exactly what's going on.
And then
you're not going to say I have an unconscious person. They show up and there's 4 massacred people in the house.
Right.
That makes no sense.
No, it's not making sense.
But so you knew there was an unconscious person, but you didn't see anybody else in the house? You didn't see all that blood in that house? Yeah, I mean, that just doesn't add up.
And they said that the 911 call came from inside the house.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
But how would they know that? And if they were using someone else's cell phone, how would they know it exactly came from inside the house?
I don't know. That was the report. I read it.
So you're standing there around all that blood and you're making a 911 call. You're sick.
Well,
I would be out the door in the driveway, far as it went, and just, I mean, everyone would be screaming in the driveway after that scene.
Yep, and they had a crowd. Didn't they have a crowd of their friends there when the police came?
Yeah, before the cops even got there.
They said they were in the house because they said that Hunter went and checked Ethan's pulse. Remember that?
Yep.
Remember when they said that?
Yeah.
Yeah, but he's unconscious.
Yeah, they said
unconscious means you're alive.
Let me tell y'all, y'all got some good stuff going here. Thank you so much. This is good because I'm telling you, some of this stuff is like, is it just me? But then when I hear somebody else say the same thing, I'm like, yep. Because if Hunter was in the house, so was the rest of them. He didn't go
exactly.
And then they said they would send him pictures on, somebody had pictures. So
Forgive me for saying, I'm not trying to be sick, but I want to see those pictures.
I would love to see them.
I'm not to be. I mean, I know maybe a gross scene, but I want to see those pictures.
I would want to see them too.
Bill? Yeah.
And
that's why they didn't want that preliminary hearing.
Yeah.
They didn't want no evidence coming out. They didn't want nobody to have to pull nothing out. They didn't want Dylan and Bethany on the stand. That's why they didn't want that preliminary hearing, because God only knows what evidence we would have got to see or at least hear about.
Yeah, that's why they jammed that grand jury through. That's why they went with a grand jury, so they didn't have to talk to them.
That's exactly right.
I think that might come back to bite them at the end.
Yep.
I really do.
Because getting to be the witching hour with her being able to talk, and then so they changed it. So they decided to go with the grand jury there. So none of that stuff to come out still to this day. Yeah.
Okay, we have a comment from Mountain Man. He said they haven't told us a lot, but doesn't mean they don't have a lot. Now, let me just say this quickly, and then I'll give y'all the floor. I'm going to tell all the people saying, wait till the trial. They have a lot more evidence and stuff. I keep hearing that, and I keep hearing that. But to me, if they had so much evidence, they wouldn't have to keep telling us these lies, first of all. And second of all, what could they possibly have? Because they, Brian Kohlberger, if they had anything else on him, I think this would just be open and shut case. That they wouldn't have to keep lying to us. But to sit there and tell us that Dylan saw somebody pass by her bedroom door, they can't have no evidence because they keep fabricated evidence. They keep fabric. The evidence they supposed to have, they don't even want to use that. The DNA that's supposed to be the star piece of evidence, they're not even using that. They can't use it because of the way that they got it. And so,
Oh mio Dio, che crazy. That's basically I'm just saying, oh my god, this is just complete nonsense. Yeah, not trying to confuse it, but yeah, it's just that's just ridiculous. I mean, it's right in front of your face. It's like people don't want to believe it, but
right.
it's right there. I mean, you have
Yeah,
4
right
people
there.
were killed, 2 weren't touched. Something's not right there. If that's really how the story goes, which I don't know if that's really the case.
Right.
That doesn't make any sense. It really doesn't. 4 were killed and you 2 were left unscathed. It just doesn't add up.
Yeah.
It's just that simple.
And the original and the second story. The original story was they were downstairs asleep. Then the next story is she saw. What's the switch with that? You know what I mean?
Right, because if you remember that female cop was there that time, Bill, and she looked inside the window and there was an empty room. There was no bed in that room. But to the left, that's where Bethany's room was, but they didn't show that. And then Dylan first said she was downstairs, and then it changed, and then she said, "Oh, I was sleeping upstairs. I thought her bedroom was downstairs," and then it moved to the upstairs. It's like, which is it?
Yeah. The story was that they're both asleep downstairs.
I was shocked to find out that Dylan's room was on the second floor.
Yeah, like right down the hall from Zana's.
Yeah, I was shocked because the intruders had to pass by her room like 3 or 4 times. They go upstairs and come down. That's 2. And then if they came through, went through the back. Well, I don't believe they went through the back door, but they had to go from Ethan and Sam, depending on who was unalive first. They might have had to pass by her door like 4 times. And they want us to believe they never opened the door and that she had her door open one time when they passed by. That's just ridiculous.
Yeah, of course, not Tonano. Yeah, it's just it is. It just doesn't make any sense. And
then to tell us, a lot of people kept arguing about the DoorDash. I don't believe that was a DoorDash.
No, I don't believe it either, because it really wasn't confirmed. But I wonder if maybe Emma could have been the driver. At one time, she did drive for DoorDash. That's a possibility. But here's a good point you just brought up. If they're getting taken out down the hall, and you have the opportunity to run out of your room, I mean, I would do it and just get the hell out of the house.
Right. Right.
But why didn't she do it if she was really there? It just doesn't make sense because I don't think she was there.
No, I don't either.
And neither was Bethany.
No, they weren't there. They would have been.
In my opinion, I think they're sinister and evil. I really do.
I don't. Something is not right. Something
Nope.
not adding up with those 2. I'm hoping to God that they didn't have anything to do with those.
Oh, I believe that they definitely did, and I'm really starting to wonder if they actually did this entire thing themselves.
Wow. That's
because maybe they were part of this church or something, or maybe, and this was part of what was supposed to be carried out. Who knows?
Well, maybe they're the ones that were saying that Maddie took the drugs or whatever. Maybe they're the snitches.
But didn't also Dylan say something about that they were all ganging up on her in the house and she was being bullied and she complained to her father about it? And he said, I'll do anything for you. Didn't something like that come out?
Yeah, I remember that. She was, and he was saying, I'll always help you when you get in trouble.
Anything you need, I'll get it taken care of.
Right.
Who knows?
That post about this is what you're gonna get if you mess with my daughter or something. And he had that.
Yeah, exactly. It's always the quiet ones you got to worry about. But
yeah, you're right. They did have that. I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember reading the post that the father wrote, and
I think that one of them was the target. In my opinion, I think that X was the target, I'm not saying she. I don't know, because then you heard stories about M flushing stuff, so I don't know what really is true, what's not. But there was one of them that was a reason for them to be there, and the rest, I think, were just collateral damage.
Yeah, I think Ethan was definitely collateral damage.
Yep.
And because he didn't live there, and he's a guy, and he's an athlete. So how many drugs can he actually do? I mean,
Right. And supposedly they said that Kay was going to the authorities, or she already gone to the authorities to let them know what other things were going on. And then
Matt
that's probably
Dudley.
why, yeah, when she came back into town, or maybe word got out, say, hey, she's in town, you won't believe this, get her back to the house or something like that.
Or they knew she was coming because, like y'all said,
Right.
you know, it could have been Dylan lured her back.
That's what I was saying. Yeah. Hey, I'm getting her back to the house. I'll let you know when she's there, and I'm taking off or something like that.
Right. Well,
Which that would make sense.
it's something wrong with
I'm wondering if the dog might have been taken from the girls, and then they brought him. That's a possibility too. And then the dog was never there in the first place.
yeah.
And then they made it look like that the dog was in the bedroom the whole time, and he never was in there.
Well, they were saying that Officer Nunez has Murphy on body cam. When he came in the house, he had his body cam on, and that Murphy's on the body cam in Kaylee's room. So when he got there, that your guess is good as mine.
But that was the next day, right?
Let's see. This was when the police first showed up.
What, 1:00 in the afternoon or something?
At 12.
Okay, so all that time prior to that, someone could have had the dog, or maybe and kept him the whole time when that was going on, and then came back to the house. Those girls could have done and put Murphy in the room to make it look like he was there the whole time.
Somebody said that Murphy was wandering around outside.
Yeah, I heard about that too. They might have actually let him outside, and then he probably wouldn't take off, and then someone brought him back in or something.
Yeah, they got a police report. If you look at the police log for that day,
yeah,
there is a record of a dog, an animal call of a dog wandering around about a mile or so away from the house.
Wow, that's a good distance.
That could have been Murphy.
It could have been, but then I heard he was. I don't know. I heard just different stuff that Emma was in there, and then it got into a big argument or something, and then she wanted Zeta to come outside, and Zeta wouldn't come out. I don't know. There's so much stuff, like Bill said. You're hearing all different things. All I want is what really happened.
Right, right.
We all want to know.
They don't want us to know, though. They're working overtime to give us propaganda. They don't want us to know.
That's exactly right. And that's what they're loving to feed the media, this stuff, so they want them to believe this, because I think we're all going to be shocked. I really do.
Yeah. I'm put my predictions in early.
It might be something where, like, we didn't even suspect from the get-go, and we're like, oh, my God.
Right.
I think that would be the case, yeah. You're
yeah.
Right.
I'll pass out if I found out Dylan and Bethany did it or had.
Yeah, you know what? Because I think this is becoming too predictable. That's why I'm thinking it's definitely someone that we least, suspect. But at the same time, I wouldn't put anything past those two.
No, you can't say what somebody.
Look in that picture she's given. You know the one I'm talking about. With all six of them. It's creepy. It really is. It's a very evil look. It's like the Molokia. You know what I mean?
Right. I feel you.
It's a very creepy picture with that evil eye.
Mm-hmm. I know what you're talking about. Where Kaylee is in the front with like a mirror.
Yeah, she's in the front, and Ethan's in the middle, and Zena's on top of his shoulders. Right.
I said the same thing. I said
that I can almost see through her soul. That's just evil.
I said the same thing. Though. I said the same thing.
That's a very creepy picture, because when I sent that to a friend of mine, you're like, wow, you could just see right through her, like her eyes in her heartless, cold heart. I said, yeah, that's exactly the impression I got from it.
That's what I got too. I hope I'm wrong.
There's a picture also that was sent. I don't know if you caught this. I don't. Bill caught this, but there's of Maddie's room, her window, and there's actually shows like it looks like a couple faces looking through the window.
I
Oh,
don't-
no, I
If
don't
you
know.
Google that, you'll find that picture.
Oh yeah.
Now, where
That's
can I
creepy.
find this? Where can I find this?
I had it and I sent it to. You know what? Actually, I could go back through. I sent it to a friend of mine from Brooklyn. Hang on, just give me 1 second while we're on here. Let me see if I can find it real fast.
Okay. Okay, you guys, after 12 o'clock, I'm gonna put my Cash App and PayPal link in the thing. I really don't usually do it, but somebody asked me to post a link. So I'll put that there, but you know my information is always on the community page. I have
Yeah, I think I have your saved your Cash App anyway.
I usually leave that stuff on the community page. Anybody want to donate, I put it there. So it's one in the link.
Okay, I found the picture right here.
Okay. I wish you could email it to me.
Um,
Now on the screen.
let me see here. It's basically it's titled "My Instinct Told Me to Edit This Picture, and This Is What I Saw. It's just me, or does it look like four men's faces in the window?" It really does. When Maddie's room, where she had.
What happened? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, he kind of went out.
Maybe he
I
got
was-
cut. Maybe he
I
got
Hello?
booted up or something. Yeah, there he goes.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Yeah, I'm
what
sorry. When I got onto the actual I found it. You actually you look at it. You could see like four guys' faces. It's really creepy.
Wow, I would love to
And
see
I don't think this was really messed with. This looks legit as it gets. It's creepy. And it almost looks like people from the grub truck.
I would love to see that. Please forward it. I got my email on the screen.
All right, I'll do that.
Thank you so much.
You're very welcome.
Now listen, guys, we're gonna have to wrap it up. I'm on
No worries.
the stream yard, but I would like to get that from you.
Of course, you will.
That I would like to see that picture. And anybody with information on the case, y'all been doing real good about emailing me stuff. Thank you so much to everybody, Susan Gardner and Leslie Vasquez, and a lot of people been emailing me some really good stuff. I appreciate it, Lori, Robin. I'm trying to see who else here has been sending me stuff. I have a lot of good emails and that really good leads, and so thank you so much for that. And I'm going to just check my email and try to see what else we can come up with.
Yeah, I'll send it over to you tonight. And then maybe you could pronounce my last name correctly.
Oh no, that's never gonna happen.
No, you were close because it's Di Stratafaccio. But you were close because I heard the one time you go Di Stratafaccio. I'm thinking not bad. My mom's name is really long. It's Luciana Francesca Di Giamalarini.
Oh my God.
It's 22 letters.
No.
So people say your mother's maiden name. I'm like, are you sure you want this? I don't think I can even fit it on the line.
Wow.
Okay, but people just call her Lucy. But yeah, you were pretty close to the pronunciation. Not bad.
All right. Okay, I'm working on it.
So it's Di Stratafaccio. Yeah.
Di Stratafaccio.
Faccio, like Faccio, like think of like focaccio, like yeah, Faccio, yeah. Stratafaccio. There you go. Hey, tutto bene. There you go.
That's right. Wait, do you know how to cook then? If you are
I grew up in the cucina, which is kitchen, and my nonna she taught me. She's from Firenze, Italy, like my mom is. Yeah, she taught me how to cook, how to bake, all that in the kitchen, just like my mom. She taught me all her sauces and that. Yeah, all that. So when people were playing basketball on the court back in Brooklyn, I was in the cucina with nonna cooking.
Oh, okay. The cucina.
Yeah.
My first word, cucina.
Cucina, that's kitchen, yeah. So basically, yeah. So if you say like Nella Cucina, that means in my kitchen. But basically, so there used to be a show called Nella Cucina, it was with Mariana Esposito. She always say, until next time, ciao, Nella Cucina means, see you around see you around in my kitchen.
Right. I got you.
Yeah.
I got you.
But yeah, so I used to cook in the kitchen with Nuna. I used to cook in the kitchen with Mom. Yeah, I learned how to cook. Yeah.
Good.
That was mandatory.
Most
I
Italians I know how to cook.
I spoke Italian. We spoke Italian in the house growing up. On the exterior, I spoke English. But the reason why we spoke Italian at home because my mother did not want me to forget it, and that was so important to her. That was so imperative. If we didn't do that, it would tend to drift away. So
Right.
it always stayed with me. Yeah, and that's why, just like the cooking, it's in my blood.
That's right.
Yeah. So the holidays are coming up, so I'll be making a lot of Italian cookies, different things like that. It's fun to do that, and I like to sing my opera and listen to my. It's fun. It's cool. Yeah.
Now that sounds really nice. That sounds really
Besame. There you go. But definitely, so stuff like I grew up with Pavarotti, Domingo, Carreras, Puccini, all that. Well, my mother, Blue Eyes. My mom used to play all that in the house. Yeah.
Right. We got all the Italian characters.
Exactly. Yeah.
Now listen, y'all. I'm gonna leave the chat open for another 5 minutes to give people a chance to finish saying whatever they need to say to each other. That's how we do it. And I want to say thank you.
I'll get you that email over to you as well.
Thank you so much. I want to thank
You're very welcome
for coming in.
My pleasure. It's a pleasure to finally get a chance to talk to you.
Wow, I enjoyed myself immensely, sir. Immensely, sir. And thank you, Q's Bill, for coming in.
Yeah, Bill, great. It was great meeting you too.
Yeah,
great. Yeah, and it was been great talking tonight. There, yeah, glad I finally.
Yeah, I enjoyed it thoroughly. It was great.
Ladies, y'all let the men take over. Y'all got to jump on the stage now next time.
That's right. You come on, your girl power. There you go. It's what it's all about.
Y'all let Italy control the whole.
There you go. Numero d'Italiano. There you go. It's all good.
Bill, where are you from?
In the Syracuse.
Syracuse.
Nice.
Oh my goodness. Y'all let New York take over.
No, because Syracuse is awesome because I know upstate New York really well. I used to go up to the Catskills for the 9-ball tournaments, Bill. So I love it. I love it up there. I love it during the foliage. It's beautiful. I don't like the. I mean, the snow is great. I love to ski, but
yeah.
All right, fellas. I'm signing off, and thank you so much to everybody. Thank you to each and every one of you and everybody that viewed. And I don't know if I'm going to put out a video tomorrow. I usually don't do Fridays, but I probably might because I got a lot of stuff here. And so thank you so much. And make sure you are looking out for my next publication and bring your A game to our next live. All right?
All right. Have a good night.
Night. Love you all.